What up, everybody? Welcome to the Bare Minimum, presented by Four Star Chicago Sports. I'm Dustin Jones. This handsome man next to me is Brandon Duplessis. How you doing, boss?
I'm doing good, man. Real good. Just had a really good dinner. Had some hot pot. Man, how about you? How you doing?
I'm good. I just had some pot. But life is good. I'm on vacation. I'm a staycation.
Oh yeah,
Just
how's
been
that
getting
going?
stuff.
I
Just
guess
been
there's
getting
no
stuff
other
done around
answer.
here. Huh?
I said, how's that going? But then I said, I guess there's no other answer than good, right?
Yeah, it's solid, man. And to be a Bears fan right now is pretty exciting. There's a lot of stuff going on, man. I mean, and I really want to dive into all that stuff, how it impacts the Bears, and what we think it means for their strategy going into the rest of this offseason. So, where do we start? Again, we had the Joe Thuney trade yesterday. The day before that, the Jonah Jackson trade. Today, the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson announced that they're giving him permission to seek a trade. So that's still on the table, and I think that's something that Bears fans are interested in as well. Where do you want to start with this, man?
Yeah, we can go do a little bit around the NFL. There was actually a lot of news. Some of the stuff kind of slipped under the radar, man. The Jaguars are pretty much cleaning house on all their pass catchers, which implies to me, with I think they're the fifth pick in the draft. They're probably going to be taking the best receiver off the board, man.
I don't know, man. I don't know what they're gonna do. They're definitely in cap hell. They traded Christian Kirk to the Houston Texans for a seventh round pick. They released Evan Ingram, which surprised me. I mean, his cap hit is solid for sure, and they have cap issues, but I don't see how releasing Evan Ingram helps you be a better team. I mean, he has injury issues too throughout his entire career. So maybe they're just thinking we're not gonna have him at full health. Better to bite the bullet now and just start rebuilding through the draft around Trevor Lawrence.
But
But
didn't you
yeah,
didn't you
the Jaguars are going to be really bad no matter who they draft.
well didn't you feel like that was at least a seventh round pick in return? A guy like Evan Ingram?
Well, I would imagine that they shopped around before they just cut him. Not just the same way the Chargers did with Joey Bosa, who's out there too, who's another guy that Bears fans might be interested in, and he can be had at a deep discount, but another guy with major injury issues. So it's like there's all these options out here, and the Bears got to figure out how to spend their money wisely. But like there's gonna be flaws with these guys that you get discounts on. Breaking news, Bruce. What up, my man? How you
What's
doing?
up, Bruce? V Dog's in the building.
Bruce
What's going
the
on, V
Strike
Dog?
Master. V Dog, what's good, fellas? Good to see you guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I hope you guys have already. But anybody else in here watching, thank you for joining us. We love having you. Keep the comments coming. We'll keep you engaged. You keep us engaged. It'll be a lot of fun. So, like, yeah, that means the Jaguars. I don't want to talk too much about them because they suck, and I
Well,
don't
they're
expect
going to suck.
change. Yeah, with their head coaching hire and the things that they're doing. But the Trey Henderson thing, Brandon. Him being on the market, being available in a potential trade, does that tickle? I wonder if that tickles guys in the chats fancy. Does that tickle Bears fans fancy? Brandon, does it tickle your fancy? Are you interested in potentially acquiring Trey Hendrickson and putting him on the other side of Montez Sweat?
No, I'm not. That's not. I know that these elite pass rushers that are becoming available right now, and I mean through trade, are going to require your 10th overall pick. I'm willing to spend that on one player and one player only, and it's not Trey
Myles
Hendrickson.
Garrett. Myles Garrett. And I'll spend a couple other ones, future picks, maybe one other one in this draft to get a Myles Garrett. I think he's worlds better than Trey Hendrickson. I know Trey Hendrickson has the most sacks in the NFL over the last 2 seasons, so it's not like he's a bum or nothing. But if you're looking at the trading for a guy like Myles Garrett or Trey Hendrickson, you just saw Max Crosby get the biggest deal for any non-quarterback in NFL history, 3-year, $106 million deal, 91 and a half guaranteed. So that's kind of the template for any deal you're going to get done with these guys. So you're giving up draft picks, and then you're going to have to pay these guys on a 3-year. It'll probably be a 3-year deal for either one of those guys, and it's going to be a lot of money. So you got to know you're getting the guy that is that game changer. And I personally do agree with you, Brandon. Myles Garrett is worlds ahead of Trey Hendrickson in that regard, in my opinion. But let me say this. Let me throw this out here. I was reading on Bleacher Report today from Brent Sobleski. He proposed a trade. He threw a few teams in there, but I was only focused on the Bears. Bears would give up their 10th pick and their 72 pick, their third-round pick, for Hendrickson, and then get the Bengals' 17th pick. So you still keep a first-round draft pick. You're basically giving up Trey Hendrickson for a third-round pick and moving back 7 spots in the first round. Let's eliminate the money for a second. Is that a deal that you might be interested in making? And what if there could be something similar for a Garrett?
Yeah, I like the trade. Like if you're gonna if the clause you're making is let's forget the money for a sec, getting a first rounder back is something I wouldn't have even dreamed fathomable. But I it's the money that's gonna kill me, man, when it comes to trade. I
I
just
like the creativeness of it to where the Bears are basically just trading back in the first round, still keeping that first round pick, adding a premier pass rusher. But like you said, the money is the big concern. Um, the cap space, according to Spot Track. I mean, I'm not a cap wizard or nothing. Everybody kind of references Spot Track, so this is kind of what I'm using. According to Spot Track, right now the Bears got $45,328,494 in cap space after the trades for Jonah Jackson and Thuney. That's 16th in the NFL. Now you got to allocate out $12,660,117 for your draft picks. You know, just through your 5th round basically is what you got to guarantee money to with those picks. So that's going to put you just over $32 million. So that's what you're going into free agency really working with, Brandon. And then if you trade for a guy like Trey Hendrickson or you trade for a guy like Myles Garrett, they're going to make at least $30 million a year. So listen, again, I'm not a cap wizard. Polls can find ways to restructure things and cut guys, make more space available in the cap. So I don't want to eliminate just the idea of it, but you're committing a significant amount of your cap to either of those guys. And you're saying you're only comfortable with Garrett making that kind of commitment?
Yeah, and even that, it scares me a little bit.
Daunting, right?
Yeah, because it hasn't proven successful for any team in the NFL in history to spend the entirety of your cap in free agency. It really just I don't know that there's a team I can think back to that won a Super Bowl for doing this. You know what I mean? Drafting was just important as the already existing talent they acquired from the NFL off seasons. So I don't know that I
Hold on,
think
what are
if
you
there's
saying exactly? The free agency, you do think it's going to have an impact on the Bears season? Like it is a place they need to spend their money? I'm
well,
sorry if I
I
missed
don't I don't think that there's an example I can remember where a team spent the entirety of their cap in free agency and it bought them a Super Bowl.
I mean, the Eagles just spent a lot of money in free agency, and it went a long way to helping them out. Mekhi
But a
Becton,
majority
Saquon
of their
Barkley.
talent was drafted and homegrown, man.
Well, they did a good combination. I think it's a combination of both. I don't think you can just say free agency is not going to do it, or it's only the draft that does it. I think it's a combination of both. And I personally want the Bears to spend as much as money as possible in this free agency to improve this team as much as possible. You got to be prudent, and you got to make sure you're hitting on most of these. So it's going to depend, but. As VDog points out here, the interesting thing with Trey Hendrickson that I was going to mention, Brandon, that we talked about, his previous connection with Dennis Allen. He played for him in New Orleans. So is Dennis Allen right now like pounding the table, talking to Poles and Ben Johnson, saying this guy will make my defense go to another level for the Chicago Bears? And if he is, how much does that mean to you?
Well, I would imagine that he is, and I'd like to credit Dennis Allen for the improvement that he made in his career, man, because he didn't start as a premier edge rusher. He got injured in his first 2 seasons. He played very limited football, but he only had 2 sacks in his first season. His second season, he played 5 games. He had 0 sacks. It was his 4th season in 2020 with Dennis Allen when he had 13 and a half sacks before he went to Cincinnati. So, yeah, I would imagine Dennis Allen is pounding the table. And if he is, doesn't that, if you're Ryan Poles, it has to mean something to you. You allowed
Okay.
Ben Johnson to hire this guy. You have these. I'm going to say this, man. From what's occurred so far through the trades they've made, they have a vision. It's very clear. Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson, and all the parties involved. Dennis Allen is a major one. They have a vision, and is Dennis Allen getting Trey Hendrickson a part of the vision they've previously discussed? Because we all kind of knew Trey Hendrickson was going to be there, right? I mean, I think
Yeah,
we
but now it's
speculated.
official. Like it's
Yeah.
officially official. They're letting him look for that trade. So, I mean that could be a good segue into these trades that just happened and what this Bears vision is. Do you have any other news though, or anything you wanted to touch on in regards to the NFL or the Bears before we get into the big news for the Bears over these last couple of days?
Well, I want to say man, things are happening in the NFL. I can't remember seeing before. Saquon Barkley, a year after signing with the team in free agency, got an extension that goes well beyond his prime. And I mean, the guy earned his money, no doubt about it. I just wonder why the Eagles were so hard pressed to get that
Well,
done.
it's a very similar extension to the one the Niners gave to Christian McCaffrey after they went to a Super Bowl. And I mean, that didn't really work out too well for the Niners. These things can bite you in the ass too.
In
But
both
you got to
injury
take care of the
history
guy that
players.
gets you there. You got to
Yeah.
take care of the guy that gets you there. So I mean, it makes sense, and I think there's a way for them to, again, not a cap wizard. You can backload some of this stuff, get the guarantees out of the way as well, to where the cap hit, you're able to make some other moves. So it could make sense financially to the Eagles too. I haven't done a lot of research on it, but I mean, if anyone in the NFL deserved to get some more money this year, it's Saquon Barkley, bro.
Yeah, good for him. Good for
Yeah,
him. That
for
was the
sure.
last piece of news that I remember reading from the NFL.
Well, the Bears traded for Jonah Jackson 2 days ago. I was a little lukewarm on it. Come see, come saw. Like there's some good to it. There's some bad to it. The guy was injured all last year. He had an injury in June to his shoulder that ended up basically keeping him out for the entire year that he re-injured pretty early on in the season. And then his play kind of slipped too. So, I mean, it's a combination of those things. But he is also a guy that played very well under Ben Johnson. We all know this. And he's a guy that Ben Johnson obviously advocated for. So there's that positive side of it. If you can get him back to his peak play, you know, I was seeing the positive of it, but also kind of having some Ryan Bates vibes, to be quite honest. What did you think of that trade just on its own?
I mean, Ben Johnson knows him well. He went and got a guy that he's familiar with, and he's obviously confident in. It wasn't, it wasn't as. It didn't make me feel as good as the Thuney trade, man. But I do think it's an upgrade, right? The
Oh
idea is
yeah,
to
I was
get
more
better.
talking about it without knowing
Yeah.
about the Thuney trade. Just what your initial
Yeah.
reaction was to it.
The idea is to get better at every position, and he is better than the guy who was playing the same position last year. So.
Yeah, man. So then the next day, the Thuney trade happens. This guy's a 9-year pro, 4-time Super Bowl champ, 2-time All Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler, 5 years under Bill Belichick, 4 years with Andy Reid, the Super Bowls, right? He's only missed 2 games in his entire career. He's freaking Iron Man, and he's one of the best guards in football. And the highest pass block win rate in the NFL over the past 2 seasons at 97.8%. And also, he's just a leader. He was selected as the MVP of the Chiefs by the Chiefs players. He won the Derek Thomas Award for the Chiefs for his selflessness. This guy is a consummate pro. When that deal happened, not only did I feel good about that deal, but it made me feel better about the Jonah Jackson deal, because now you see that vision coming together. You got they went for 2 starting guards, 2 guys that they identified as great pass block winners to protect Caleb Williams and keep that pocket from collapsing on him, Brandon. So like you were saying, once that Thuney deal came in, it kind of completed this vision where I felt a lot better about the Jonah Jackson deal, to be quite honest.
Yeah, they're really building a fortress around their quarterback, man. And we can't lose sight of the fact that our quarterback is the most important part of this all, right? You can get excited about Ben Johnson. You can get excited about Kevin Warren spending money. You can get excited about these guys they're trading for. It's all about Caleb Williams. And Ben Johnson understands that. And I think he's kind of proven to us as fans that that is the most important part of this. And he said that. And he's gonna build this offense around the quarterback. And I think most people think skill players when they hear that, but it starts with the 2 moves they just made.
Yeah, 100%. And V-Dog threw this in here about, dude, the Trey Hendrickson thing, it's going to happen. He's going to get moved. He put out a statement to Adam Schefter basically saying, like, I've been grateful to play for the Bengals for these years, and I'm grateful that they're letting me seek to play somewhere else. So, like, he basically said goodbye already. He's looking to get the hell out of there as quickly as possible. Michael, what up, bro? Hit that
What's
like
up,
button.
Mike?
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, and he was doing this last year, wasn't he? Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, no, he wanted to get dealt. They didn't do it. He played on the deal, and he's like, "Get me the fuck out of here. You don't want to pay me. Give me somewhere else." And the Bengals are going to respect that. So
It seems as if Miles Garrett and Trey Hendrickson will both absolutely be on new teams comes
When
next.
players of that caliber ask to get traded, it's tougher in the NFL. It's not like the NBA, but it generally usually happens. If there's smoke, there's fire in these situations. So there's more to be seen there. We discussed it. They're going to cost a lot in terms of draft picks. They're going to cost a lot in terms of money. So it's like you got to weigh the pluses and minuses of that. I'm much more in on the Miles Garrett
Well,
idea than I am on the Trey Hendrickson idea.
and I know he's under contract, but let's be honest, the Browns are in no position to be giving a player like Miles Garrett a max. Because, guys, we were just discussing this, Dustin. This is everybody, like, you read so many headlines about the Max Crosby thing that implied that he's the largest, or this the largest contract in the NFL to a non-quarterback. This is just going to happen every season. You know what I mean?
Garrett's going to get that on his next deal.
Yeah,
He's going
the
to beat
next,
it. He's
yeah,
going to beat it.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. The next
Mhm.
name's going to be the next guy who's the highest paid outside of quarterbacks. You know what I mean?
Yep,
So
those high
I
level
don't
players are
see
going to get
one thing that I know for like the Bengals have a history of not doing that. They don't
that.
they don't like to pay guys. There was even rumors that Joe Burrow wouldn't be re-signed by that team. They're
Well, Joe
very
Burrow's putting a lot of pressure on the Bengals to re-sign the guys that he wants to keep, and that's T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. So, I mean, T. Higgins got franchised, so the Bengals are obviously prioritizing offense, and they're going to try to patchwork their defense. We'll see how it goes, man. But what you were talking about in terms of this vision that you're seeing kind of come together, we've seen Poles like just last offseason, man. We saw Poles trade a 5th-round pick for Ryan Bates, a guy that hadn't started, not an established guard like a Joe Thuney or even a Jonah Jackson. So it's a completely different thing in terms of these trades when you really look at it deep or on its surface. And then you think about the fact that last year Poles was in doing these things in unison with a head coach named Matt Eberflus versus this offseason, he's doing these things in unison with Ben Johnson, who, as you stated, has a clear vision of what he wants. He wants to fix this offensive line. Just last offseason, Ryan Poles is trading a 4th-round pick for Keenan Allen. Then he drafts a receiver at the number 9 pick. I think the priorities were kind of backwards. It seems like the priorities are lined up with what this team needs for success this year in terms of the moves they're making, and that makes me excited. I think Poles has a stronger mind, a stronger football mind to lean on in terms of the direction of this football team, and I think that makes a fucking huge difference, man.
Yeah, and I would have said after last season that I felt they were absolutely trying to be competitive, right, Dustin? That was the thing. They were going to try to compete in the toughest division in football. This implies to me now that they're trying to win. They
They're
want to
trying to
win
compete
their
this
division.
year.
They're
Now,
trying to win this division. They're trying to go to the Super Bowl. That is what they're trying to do. They're aware, Dustin, and me and you have had many discussions about this, of how aggressive they need to be with a franchise quarterback in his
on a
sophomore
rookie
season.
contract,
You
yes.
need to be competing with by next year. Honestly, you don't even want to wait for the final year of Caleb's deal. You've got to compete now.
Yeah, and the aggressiveness is necessary. Adding these contracts is necessary. Adding star players that you're going to have to pay some money to makes sense now because you're not going to have that ability when Caleb Williams gets his 2nd deal. You're just not. So the Bears recognize that, and good, smart teams in these situations always do. They really do. And generally, you've seen teams take advantage of it when they have a good starting quarterback on a rookie contract. You've seen that pay off for teams, that aggressiveness in other areas. Again, we saw the aggressiveness last season, Brandon, last offseason, but looking back on it in hindsight, their priorities were backwards. It seemed like Brian Poles wanted to play Madden. He was like, I'm going to get all these weapons and everything to pair with Caleb Williams, and completely neglected the trenches. This offseason, the thing that I'm excited about is that they clearly have the completely opposite approach. And I think this approach, it was shown in the Super Bowl. The trenches won that Super Bowl. This approach is going to produce better results.
Yeah, and they're doing something, Dustin, which he didn't really do last year. But the approach he's taking now is it can't be all risk. It can't be all we're hoping this guy improves. We're hoping that Ryan Bates steps into a starting center role and plays better than he did on Buffalo playing guard, and he was on the bench for most of the season anyways. And you're getting proven talent now. And Tooney is a blue chipper. He's a blue chip talent. I mean,
100%.
the guy has been in his prime since the day he was drafted. I mean, this guy, and he's not missing any football. Most importantly, too, the Bears have had disastrous couple of years with health. I think that's
Missed 2
overlooked.
games in his entire career, Brandon, in the regular season. 2 games.
Yeah.
That's just insane for that
So
position.
you're not just adding quality talent, you're adding durability where the depth won't be as important, because I think we saw just about every lineman on our roster play last year. I mean, how many lines? Kyle says it a lot. When somebody says that line was bad, Kyle always says, which one? Which line? You know, I mean, we don't want to be asking that question again. We want the 5 guys that play on this line to be the 5 guys that finish the season.
Yeah. So my first reaction, when the Thuney trade went down, my first reaction is what you just said. This signals to me, these last 2 trades that the Bears have made signals to me that they are looking to compete now, which I am in big favor of because of the Caleb rookie deal and how important that is that a team capitalizes on that when they have that franchise QB on that rookie contract. The second thing was that Joe Thuney is a guy that changes your culture. Again, I said he played only for Bill Belichick and Andy Reid. These are the 2 coaches he's played for. He's won 4 Super Bowls. This guy knows how to win. He knows what it looks like when it's being done right. And he's going to know how to translate that and teach it to guys in the locker room for the Chicago Bears. The Bears, listen, I would have taken the Thuney trade just on that, just on his leadership and what he can bring to this locker room. You throw not even on his talent, which you throw in there, and he's one of the top guards in football. So it's a fucking win-win for the Bears to get this for a future 4th round pick. Is just insane to me and he's worth the money, and I hope they re-sign him as long as he stays healthy. I think that you see here that the Bears are looking to be aggressive to win as soon as possible, and they're looking to change the culture of their team, which lacked discipline, lacked preparedness, lacked anything that you needed to really be competitive going into a football game, lacked a kick you in the nuts mentality too, man. And I think Thuney brings all of that and more, and I think they're going to be looking to add more guys like that.
And I think Ryan Poles, the mindset that he's had, Dustin, which is really impressive to me, is, I mean, how many shows have we done where we beat these subjects up and we all say the same thing at the end of it? You can't fix everything all at once. I think Ryan Poles is taking that very personally. We're going to certainly try. There's nothing saying we can't try. They are trying to fix every hole they have on this roster. And I think Ben Johnson was aware of that when he said, this team can win now. I don't think that when Ben Johnson took this job, I don't think he was under the same mindset as us as fans that there was so much to fix.
And I don't want that to be my mindset. We're fucking Chicago. It's the 3rd biggest market in pro sports, in professional football, and we should be competitive. And I'm not down for more rebuilding and more winning. I want to do it the right way, but I think Poles is doing it in a way that none of us expected, and this can work. And VDog says here, Flus was just a filler head coach, not giving Poles no grace. He chose not to upgrade the line in a substantial way because even though he said something totally different, he never believed in Flus. Listen, regardless of I want to say this real quick, Brandon. If he didn't believe in Flus, he shouldn't have re-signed his hat. He didn't re-sign him, but he shouldn't have kept him going into this past season because I thought he should have been fucking fired, especially with the options that were out there at head coach. But Ryan Poles has not even believed in his own words, Brandon, because Ryan Poles, when he first came here, said, it's going to start in the trenches. We're going to rebuild from the inside out. Yeah, and then he's gone and done the exact opposite. That's why I give him no grace. But that's why I also give him some credit for what he's doing right now. It might have taken him a while to learn it, but it seems like he understands those words rang true and he should have fucking listened to him from the start.
And I will say this, V-Dog, Flus did have a vision and Poles did kind of abide by, right? The first 2 draft picks Poles made while Flus was the head coach of this organization was
defensive backs.
Defensive backs. You took Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon. So he was trying to provide Matt Eberflus with the pieces that he needed to run a successful team. Matt Eberflus just wasn't a good coach.
Well, real quick in that,
I'm not excusing that. Ryan Poles should have been aware of that.
Yeah, that was clear. There was signs of that were clear. But you say there was symmetry there in terms of how they approached it. Matt Eberflus also said that the key to his defense was a 3 technique, and Ryan Poles just neglected it. I mean, Javon Dexter was a stab at it, but you see Ben Johnson in the offseason at the combines and throughout since he's been hired, the offensive line needs to be addressed. And Poles, with his first 2 moves in offseason, goes and addresses the offensive line in a big way. So it seems like there's already a difference there in terms of that connection.
And that's the big thing too. I can say this is it's a reflection of lessons learned, right? Because Ryan Poles, I mean, how badly, Dustin, how badly did this team with Justin Fields need some skill players? We needed a receiver, we needed quality backs, and he went and got 2 defensive backs in his draft. Then last year, we knew how badly we needed pass protection, and he went and got skill players. So I think Ryan Poles' understanding of the fact that you can't just take the things you want necessarily when you're in dire need for something in order to succeed, right? The lesson's got to be learned at this juncture. He's got to know his job's on the line if he doesn't fix the things that have sucked since the day he got here, man.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry, my wife just texted me. So I got a little distracted there. But I will say this, man. The talk right now, and V-Dog kind of says it up in terms of not giving him no grace, Poles. The talk right now is like, we've made these moves. And I think that these 2 moves, these 2 trades, make us, the Chicago Bears, very flexible going into this offseason. That's what I love the most about it. It gives them a lot more options than they had before they went into it. Obviously, it takes away some cap space, but that's worth it for these players, I think. But the flexibility they have going into this offseason is huge. But then the question becomes, Poles has had the opportunity to make trades for players. He's had the opportunity to draft players, for a few years now in Chicago. And do we trust him to do that this offseason, and this crucial offseason for the Chicago Bears? Do we trust him to do that? Did he nail these trades? Is he going to nail the draft? Should he trade more draft picks because we don't trust him in the draft? Like that's the question that's kind of going around Chicago right now. We've seen some big misses. Do we trust him to nail this draft down, man, in free agency? Get some hits out of this offseason?
No, I'm not going to say that I trust Ryan Poles yet, because I've spent the last 2 days, Dustin, pondering the same subject. It's something that's gaining a lot of traction right now. Is like, is he known in his reputation for being a good drafter? Is he known for being a good free agent accumulator? And I can't say that he's phenomenal at either. So I still just have to see the W's, man. I have to see the win
results
column
on the field
be better than the loss column. That's what I need to see from Ryan Poles in order for me to trust him.
100%. And I will say this, man, it's any GM, if you're batting 300, you're doing pretty damn good. When you're trying to identify talent, the NFL draft is oftentimes a crapshoot. And just this most recent draft, he was able to come away with 2 blue chip players out of this draft, and Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. And he was able to do that because of trades he made to acquire draft capital. He's worked wonders with this cap. They were able to make these trades.
He's a money manager. Yeah.
And they still have cap room to handle in free agency and to apply towards this next draft because of the moves he's made, because they were in cap hell when he took over. So there's positives to what Poles has done too. And I don't want to just not give him credit for that stuff. And Ben Johnson was hired by Ryan Poles. We all love Ben Johnson so much. Ryan Poles made that happen, guys. Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren.
Yeah, we can talk about what he's done and what he hasn't, and the hits and the misses. And the reality is, Dustin, you can only judge these things, your GMs, your head coaches, off your record. I mean, Ryan, you can praise every offseason this team has. We're the best team in February every season, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're not winning football games, what the hell does it mean? It doesn't mean anything. And Ryan Poles, I never found this quote anywhere. Kyle says it a lot, that he stated it's a 3-year plan. Well, we're beyond that. So
yeah,
this needs to get better.
You need to start taking off. Yeah. And V-Dog says you got to trust him. Long-term deal about 3 weeks ago. I don't know if that deal was ever officially announced. I think they've talked about it, and it makes sense to if you let him hire Ben Johnson, Brandon, to me, it makes sense to line up his contract with Ben Johnson's. It doesn't mean you keep him for that amount of time, but it makes sense to have that in terms of those two being lined up and tied together. So I think if it hasn't been officially reported, I think it will be. I think that is a done deal. I just don't want to say that that's out there because it has not come across as officially reported that that's been done. That I've seen.
For 4-Star Chicago Sports, Dustin Jones, Ryan Poles.
So we got to trust Ryan Poles. we have some reasons to, and we have some reasons not to. And again, you're going to find that with a lot of GMs. This is the make or break year to me. It is. I love the way he's come out so far this offseason.
I trust Ben Johnson, and
What up,
Ben
Daniel? How you
Johnson
doing? That like button.
seems to trust Ryan Poles. I do trust Ben Johnson, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, like we allow ourselves to do as Bears fans. But it was the guy we wanted. I mean, Dustin, you and I liked Mike Vrabel a lot, but Ben Johnson was certainly high on my list. The Bears went and got him with conviction. Ryan Poles, I think Ryan Poles wanted Ben Johnson from the get-go. Even with the 29,000 interviews the Bears did, I think he wanted Ben Johnson, and that's the guy he got. And it took Ben Johnson trusting Ryan Poles to become the head coach of this football team. So I will say that I trust Ben Johnson, and Ben Johnson seems to trust the leadership in this organization.
Yeah, and that's the point I was making earlier. You know, if you like Ben Johnson so much, Ryan Poles is the guy that hired him, and he played a big role in Ben Johnson being here. So we're going to be moving forward. I think that the additions of Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson are just huge already. You still got to address the center, right? Left tackle, you don't know if Braxton Jones is going to be healthy to start this season. The offensive line, though, has the potential with some moves that are coming up here to really be impacted, to go from like the biggest weakness of this team to the biggest strength of this team. And that's pretty crazy to think about, where we were just a few days ago versus where we are now. And when it comes to this offensive line, Brando.
Yeah, and like I said, Dustin, we just keep saying to ourselves, what's going on, Daniel Jeffries? He says, got here a little late. No, you didn't, brother. You got here right on time. But
he was late. He was late. Don't let him off the hook.
Don't let it happen again.
If you're not early, you're late.
Don't make me give you the Randall L. father finger. No,
I'm Tom Coughlin in this motherfucker.
It does. If I had to bet money, Dustin, I'm going to guess that they're running it back with Braxton Jones. So you haven't. I don't know that they're going to upgrade every position that I don't think is to the caliber it needs to be. But this line has certainly already improved, and they have given themselves a lot of room to do more.
100%. And V-Dog, like I said, man, if it hasn't been officially announced by the Chicago Bears, I'm just not ready to report it. I think it makes total sense, and I'm sure that that's what they're going to do. That only makes logical sense to do that after you let them hire their head coach. But just it hasn't been officially announced.
As soon as we report that, V-Dog, you're going to see Ryan Poles was terminated tomorrow.
No. And Daniel jumping in already, coming in hot. I think we're seeing Ryan Poles get a little wiser and more aggressive with this new season. I got this gut feeling Ryan Poles will pull off a major free agent signing. And, I mean, that's what we can get into next. I mean, free agency-wise – what's up?
Real quick, Danny, and I said this before you joined. I think that Ryan Poles has proven lessons learned. I think that he is absolutely showing us that he knows he's made mistakes, but the benefit of making mistakes is it teaches you not to do them, right?
Yep. And I feel a lot more confidence in Ryan Poles today than I have for a long time. And, I mean, that don't mean shit to Ryan Poles. I'm just saying, like, Ryan Poles needs to do his job, and he's going to take swings. And he's going to swing and miss, man. And he's going to have to live with that. But at least so far this offseason, he's got some conviction. He knows what he wants to do, and he's going to live or die with these mistakes. I love the aggressiveness. That's what I fucking love. So, I mean, I'm back in that 100%.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Mm-hmm. And he's taking a shot, and he knows this is a make or break year for this regime. It is, because if you don't show progress this upcoming season, man, you don't show some fruits of that labor, like you said, the wins and the results on the football field, people are going to be breathing pretty hard down Ryan Poles' neck, man. That's just the reality.
And you're right, this, and what that shows as well for us guys as fans is accountability. Kevin Warren doesn't want to get fired on the decisions that Ryan Poles makes, and Ryan Poles doesn't want to get fired on the decisions that Ben Johnson makes, and they all need to believe in each other for this thing to work, man.
Mm-hmm.
And they all need to agree that it's time to start taking chances.
And they seem to be in lockstep. They seem to be in lockstep at the Ben Johnson hire through the entire press conference. A lot of the same terminology being thrown out there. Everybody looked at the process kind of the same way, from George McCaskey down to Ben Johnson, and then even down to the players. The 100% alignment. And then you see moves like this that have Ben Johnson's fingerprints all over them, and you're like, okay, that alignment is tightening up a little more. So that feels good because, again, we've seen a lot of dysfunction at Hallis Hall. We just have. And it's led to shitty results on the football field. So this feels different. It does.
I would agree, man. And it's a good day. Today is one of the first times in a while I can say it feels good to be a Bears fan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think it's going to get better. And we were talking about free agency in terms of what he's going to do. As I said, after you take out listen, this is according to Spot Track. These numbers could go up or down. I'd rather go with the lower number than the higher number. Some people are saying 51 million in cap space. Spot Track has them at 45,328,000. After you would take out the draft pick capital you're going to have to spend on the cap, you're talking about $32,668,377 that the Bears have going into this free agency. That's on the low end. But again, I'd rather go with that than, think too highly. So it's like Drew Dahlman, some people are saying he's going to get 13, 14, 15 million dollars. Do you go for that? I mean, you insert Drew Dahlman into the middle of Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson, and you got maybe the best interior offensive line in football going into this season. You can make an argument for that. That could be worth it. But I mean, you pull out 13 million from there, you're down to, 19 million basically in cap space to add more to this roster. So is that something you think the Bears should do? Is that the big signing, Brandon?
Yeah, I do, Dustin. And we just talked about you're up against it, right? You are taking your risks in order to win now, and that's what it requires, man. And if you got to break the bank to believe that you're putting a team on the field that Ben Johnson can win with, and to believe that you're putting a team on the field that Caleb Williams can win with, you spend what it takes.
Yeah. So is Dahlman that guy to you? Is what I'm asking, Brandon. Is Dahlman that guy?
Yeah, I think that he's the best available center in free agency, and I think we all agree, Dustin. I know you and Kyle have been pretty fond of this. You don't want to throw a rookie center in the middle of this line. I don't know that that's going to work out well for you. I really don't. Even if you get your hands on one of the top centers in the draft,
Tracks.
it's probably still a guy you want to spend a year on your team without starting. So, yeah, I want a veteran, and I don't want a bargain veteran. I want a proven veteran.
Okay, so I mean that's Dahlman or Ryan Kelly, man. And I mean, and that's going to cost you anywhere from $10 to $13 million a year. So it's like now you're backing that out of that cap. You don't have much left over. That's going to be your big move if you do it. No thoughts on Milton Williams, who's probably going to command about $20 million a year, but is probably, in my mind, the number one free agent out there, regardless of position. I think this guy is highly underrated considering that he was the best defensive lineman for the Eagles in the playoffs. He's been on a limited snap count throughout his career because that's a deep rotation there. And he has a great pass rush win rate, man. This guy just gets after the quarterback, and he's pretty damn good at stopping the run. No thoughts on Milton Williams. I think the Bears need some defensive line help just as bad as they need offensive line help.
I think it works either way, right? If you want to go after Williams or you want to go after Dahlman, it gives you the flexibility to draft more players on the opposite side of the opposing side of the line, right? Here's my thing with Dahlman, though, is you have Braxton Jones has not been the worst left tackle in football. Darnell Wright is a solid player who we're hoping, and by every measure, it looks like is going to become a one hell of a right tackle. If you get Dahlman, I think you've pretty much kind of solidified the line. I think your offensive line, you can still draft some late players to get some depth there, but I think your starting line is solidified.
You're in a position to turn what was your greatest weakness into your greatest strength going into this season. And considering that greatest strength would be protecting the ass of Caleb Williams, which is your greatest asset, that's not a bad investment at all, man. You can really improve this offensive line in one offseason and make it the best unit on your football team with the moves that they're making.
Well, and while you're talking about our greatest weakness, Daniel Jeffries, Daniel, I think I've been disagreed with this based on PFF stats, people throwing numbers. I think Coleman Shelton was the greatest weakness on this Bears roster. I think he was the most disappointing part of all of the acquisitions Ryan Poles made. The rest of the guys weren't really. I mean, Ryan Bates was injured for most of the season. We did trade a pick for him, but it was a fifth rounder, mind you. I think Coleman Shelton was a guy that this team had a lot of hopes for, and he immediately started to battle at the position as soon as the offseason started, and it was bad from the get-go. But he
Bro, the
proved to
Shelton
be,
signing was bad as soon as they made it. I
yeah, and
hated
he
it as
proved
soon
to
as
be
they made
even
it.
worse than I thought he was. He did, really, he
Well, he
did.
led the league in hurries the year in hurries allowed the year before they signed him. So it was clearly like he wasn't a guy that protected the quarterback very well. He allowed pressure in his face from the closest point to him, you know, consistently. And then he kind of did the same thing here in Chicago. So it's like if you run it back with Shelton, your biggest, I'll just play devil's advocate here. Your biggest hope is that having put these two big guards on either side of them that are pros and vets, then you're helping make the job a little easier on Shelton versus Tevin Jenkins, who was in and out of the rotation, Matt Pryor, Nate Davis, all the trash that was over there, Bill
But
Murray at some points. Like,
but
so it's
then
you're
but then
hoping that there's an improvement there. And if you do keep Shelton, let me say this, you got to draft a center pretty high on by the third round. You got to draft a center
yeah,
that can come up behind him.
Sean said it best on our House All Hangover, Daniel. I think your line is as strong as your weakest link. And I think Coleman Shelton is that. And I don't want Coleman Shelton to be starting on this football team next year.
I want to replace him. And honestly, if I can, I want to replace Braxton Jones too.
Oh, of course.
Braxton Jones is a replacement level player. I mean, you can run it back with him, especially if you've improved other spots along your offensive line. I do believe that. He's my last guy I'm replacing of Shelton or him. If I got to run it back with one of them, I would much rather run it back with Braxton Jones. But if I can, and it's feasible, I want to replace both of those guys. I've been saying that. Center and left tackle, I want studs there.
And Braxton Jones has graded out pretty well in run blocking. I don't think Coleman Shelton did. Braxton Jones serves a purpose, even if it's not the best you're going to get,
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at the Bears tackles overall, like they allowed a lot of pressure too last season, so they're not without blame.
Oh, they got beat everywhere. They got beat everywhere.
I like this question from Michael. I know we focus on offense and defensive line, rightfully so, for free agency. Is there another position group you think the Bears should be looking at? For me, I really like the idea of getting a center. I'm sorry, a safety. We just talked center, a safety. I am not sold on Jaquan Brisker's health, Jaquan Brisker's ability to stay healthy. And I do not want to be in a position again where Elijah Hicks is my starting safety for the entirety of the season. And I don't want to see Jonathan Owens out there as much as he was out there last year either. I want a much better option at the safety position for the Chicago Bears team. That's something I'm thinking long and hard about if I'm Bears management.
Yeah, Michael, for most of the draft analysis that I've read, they've been pretty spot on the Bears' needs outside of the offensive and defensive line. I have seen safety, as Dustin just forementioned. It's going to be a position of need, no matter what way you look at it. Inside linebacker and running back, and I've seen tight end. I've seen tight end list for the Bears. I don't think that's as great a need as the other positions, but I think inside linebacker and I think running back are still positions you could improve. I don't know, guys, what
Running back
happens with
100%.
Tremaine. I don't know what happens with Tremaine Edmonds. He is not the player the Bears paid for. I don't think that he's gonna be.
It doesn't look good. It doesn't.
And
And if you could trade him for a fourth round pick right now, I would do it in a second and draft a linebacker in this draft or go sign Dre Greenlaw or something, man. Like Tremaine Edmonds, I tried to have faith in him, man. I was pushing for him at the beginning of the season. No, he did not reward that confidence.
No, and this is an organization, a franchise that has been built on that position. And he's not good enough, man. And I know pedigree shouldn't matter too much, but it does. And we're a team that's always hung our helmet on stopping the run. And it starts there.
I like how you said hung our helmet instead of hung our hat. I like that. Yeah, very specific. You can call it helmet.
We're not doing a good job of filling gaps. Edmonds not there. And guys, the one thing that I watch that consistently bothers me about him, why I say it, I don't think that he'll improve. He cannot get off a block, Dustin. He can't get off a block. I mean, the guy just gets pushed around.
And I mean, he's supposed to be better in coverage too. So,
Yeah, he's
listen,
an athlete. He can fly around. He's
no.
fast. He can't get off. He's not strong. He's not a strong player.
Listen, Edmonds and Edwards are going to be the starting linebackers. They're going to let Sanborn walk, and I think Sanborn might be a steal for somebody who picks him up if he gets put into a bigger role. But I don't want to dive too deep into that because those two guys are going to be here and starting. A couple comments I want to get to that kind of lead us into what are we doing headlines, deadlines next? And then we'll kind of finish out with our mock drafts. Is that our plan?
Sure. Yeah.
Production on the fly here. VDog says Olin Kreutz has been absolutely praising. This is important, right? Olin Kreutz has been praising the hire of Dan Rochar early on. As soon as we hired him, Kreutz said the line will be improved day one. He helped play for Dan. He played for Dan back in college a few years. Listen, I think the coaching is a huge thing. We've talked about it a lot. It was the only thing to talk about for a while there. But the coaching staff that they have hired here is going to make a huge difference just for the players that are still on this roster. Guys from last year will be improved in terms of their play this year because of the coaching experience that they've added to this coaching staff and the fact that they're going to be able to just motivate these guys and get more out of them and teach them better technique and hold them more accountable. There will be better play on the field with the roster that we had, regardless of who we're adding, just because of that. I do agree with that, VDog. What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, absolutely. And the reputation, Dustin, the reputation. These guys were hired, and we were all excited. We thought every time the Bears announced a new hire in a coaching position, I was excited about it because these guys have proven to make players better.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, Dustin, they didn't come in to an organization that had a 10-game losing streak and think, what can we replace? They thought a lot of these guys approached who's worth keeping already, right? Who's here? And the first thing Al Harris did was reach out to Tyreek Stevenson and say, hey, I think you should attend this camp. It develops a better professional. I think you have the accolades to play the game, but you need to get better inside your head. And he did. And I think that's a testament to what these coaches believe this roster is, not
And
can
Al
be.
Harris is a guy, if he talks to you, you listen. That's
Oh,
what
yeah,
I
I
like
mean,
about him
he
a lot.
knows a lot about how to get better at a position. That's another
He
thing
knows a
too.
lot how to get better as a professional too, because he did that through his playing career.
That's what I mean. I think Declan Doyle was the only guy. I think Declan Doyle was the only coach the Bears hired that hadn't formally played. So these guys, not just in regards to coaching talent and developing talent, they all did it themselves. They all got the
And,
best out of
mhm.
themselves as players, right?
And Bill Johnson and Rocher have just been like long tenured positional coaches at these positions. So they have knowledge for days. So I do expect the trenches on either side to improve because of those hires, but that does not mean we don't have to add more talent to this team. We saw what we had last year. It needs to be better in terms of talent as well. Daniel Jeffries, and that's kind of leading into what we're going to talk about next, which is the draft. Brandon's got some headlines, deadlines around the draft coming up. And then we want to get into some mocks, guys. We're going to have some fun with that, kind of see how the draft, how we're looking at the draft from our perspective, given these new moves that the Bears have made and the roster that they currently have, what direction we would go. We're going to do one where we're going to do a couple of them. I think they shouldn't take very long. And we also want to hear from you guys. Maybe we'll just do a whole mock where we let you guys pick if you guys can come to a consensus. We'll see how that goes. But Daniel Jeffers says he hopes they take the safety from Iowa. I think that's Santos, right? Am I right? I mean, he's not a very good athlete. And he's a little on the older
I
side.
know very little about Iowa players, man.
I'm pretty sure that's who he's talking about. And I mean, he's a guy that'll be available in the 5th, maybe the 6th round potentially. So
I
that could
didn't
be a
know
guy that you can target. I'm just throwing it out there because Daniel Jeffries mentioned it.
No, I didn't know who Torrey Taylor was when the Bears drafted him, and he was apparently the best punter in football, man.
Listen, Rauscher, 40 years of experience, 20 between college and pro. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, and it's just mostly just been as an offensive line coach. The knowledge, the wealth of knowledge that he's bringing to this Bears locker room at that offensive line. Same thing for Bill Johnson, guys. 45 years that guy has, just mostly coaching D line. That's going to make a huge impact. But we do want to.
And then the guys, the former players were a little younger, not as much experience in the coaching side of things, like Randall L. and Al Harris. I mean, the quality football players that have done a quality job as coaches since they've become coaches. Randall L. got the improvements that Jamison Williams made from obviously entering the league as an injured player, but he had some issues with gambling. He had some issues with the PDAs, and look at the season that kid had last year. It was the the Jameson Williams we all expected him to be, right?
The PDAs,
He was suspended for
public
drug use,
displays of affection,
for violating. He was suspended for
PEDs,
PED. Sorry, he's
the public
suspended for.
displays of affection.
Yeah. Well, you should get suspended for that too. But yeah,
He probably was. I mean, he was hanging out with Justin Tucker in some massage parlors, maybe. I don't know.
oh Jesus.
Listen, we want to get into this draft stuff because we're already taking up a lot of time here. We want to get to these mocks, guys. Brandon's got his headlines, deadlines. Let's touch on those. And guys in the chat, please throw in your answers because we're interested in what you have to say as well. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate you greatly.
Yeah, we got some guys here who I know been with us for a while, guys. I know you've been watching 4 Stars, but this is a segment we do on Thursday nights. Our show's usually around midnight. So if you haven't seen it yet, I'm going to throw you out a topic, and you tell me if it's a headline, meaning we could print it today, or a deadline, meaning there's no chance in hell. Dustin, there's only 3 today. Kevin Warren is responsible for the
Quality,
changes.
not quantity, Brandon. Quality, not quantity. I like this.
Kevin Warren is responsible for the changes in the way that George has handled this organization.
I'd say that's a headline. I think he's a guy that was brought in to handle the business side, but he's also a guy who has a firm understanding that should not intertwine with the football side. So I think that influence that he's had in the Bears top brass, is kind of giving George the perspective of, I got to just get these football guys in here and let them make the football decisions. I don't need to be choosing who our next head coach is going to be. I think that has made a huge difference, and that's allowed this potential for the culture to change by the hiring of Ben Johnson and all these things that are going to come with that. I think Kevin Warren kind of opened the door for that. So I would say that that's a headline from my perspective.
Yeah, I agree. And the Bears players, we saw the grades they gave the organization, and they ranked ownership. They ranked ownership a B+. And I think that Kevin Warren was affiliated with that. I do. I know he's not an owner, but I do think that George McCaskey's ability to hire and trust Kevin Warren is a reason that the players might have voted that way. And
that's translating to him trusting Ryan Poles, right? And then trusting Ben Johnson. That's what I mean.
I think Kevin Warren's preached trust to George McCaskey. And I do think this, I like the way Jay Hood said it.
Says headline too.
Jay Hood, 2 headlines, great. Jay Hood said this morning, I think that Kevin Warren had some very uncomfortable conversations with George McCaskey.
I mean, there had to be listen, we have noticed a very positive trend in terms of how George has approached the media, how George has approached these football operations and just said, you guys got the resources, go make your decisions, go figure it out. I think there was a come to Jesus moment for sure, and it would make a lot of sense that Kevin Warren was responsible for that, Brandon.
And especially how he's approached finances. I think Kevin Warren said, it's time. It's time. Stop sitting on it, man. You want to win, you get your quarterback, it's time.
And it's like V-Dog said here. I mean, I don't know if you remember, like Martellus Bennett back in the day was kind of calling the Bears out for like not being in the modern era. And now like you're seeing players start to kind of see that that's changing when you look at these report cards in terms of their facilities, in terms of their weight room, in terms of how they're looking at things. And V-Dog says it right here. He got caught up to the modern era of football, not stuck in the 80s. And I think Kevin Warren is a big part of that. And I think it's only going to get better, to be quite honest, especially with the new stadium and all that stuff that's going to come with that Kevin Warren is going to have his hands all over. So
I agree, guys. I think it's a headline as well. Second headline or deadline, Ryan Poles is better at trading draft capital than using it.
I mean, this is where I miss the lifelines. Because like, it's kind of in between, man. Like
you can throw a lifeline at it.
Listen, I'll say it's a deadline because you got Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze in this most recent draft, right? You've gotten players like he got a Braxton Jones in the 5th round. That's been a starting.
Kyler Gordon is a top 5 player on this.
Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, health permitting, is a good safety in the NFL. Javon Dexter is a much better tackle than you give him credit for. I still think we need improvement at that 3 technique, and I still think we need rotation at that 3 technique.
V-Dog threw a lifeline out there.
50-50. That's kind of how I feel, V-Dog. So I'm glad you're simpatico with me on that. If I had to choose one, I would say deadline, man, because again, if you're hitting at 50%, 50-50, like V-Dog saying, like, you're doing pretty fucking good as a GM in the draft in the NFL. So I mean, like, and he's traded draft capital and gotten more draft capital back. He traded draft capital 2 years ago. He traded the number 1 pick and got the number 1 pick this past season, and got another second round pick this season because of it. So like, he's made trades that have accrued more draft capital, trading that draft capital. So I'd have to give him a deadline on that. I got to give Poles a little more credit than that, I think, when you look at it from the grand scale. What do you say?
I would say deadline. I would love for Ryan Poles to continue to use majority of his draft capital in the draft as opposed to trading it. I do like the idea of getting proven talent, but like I said, guys, it doesn't prove success to do one thing or the other, right, Dustin?
It's a
To
combination of
draft all
both.
of your talent is never good. To
It's
sign and trade for all of your talent is never good. You want to do both.
And you can't get tunnel vision because different situations arise. Joe Thuney becomes available in a trade because the Chiefs want to keep Trey Smith. So now you have an opportunity to get him for a 4th round pick in next year's draft. That's a deal worth making, regardless of if you had plans to attack free agency or draft. Like those things come up, and you got to be quick and have conviction to make a deal like that, because other teams are trying to make that deal too, man.
And Ryan Poles has found a great balance and not holding on to something. You know what I mean? Like, just because it's your draft, okay, your draft picks doesn't mean that they're not worth shipping somewhere if something becomes available, right?
Exactly. If Myles Garrett becomes available, fuck them picks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So
the
you
mentality
got
you
to
gotta have for real.
Yeah.
And I think fans kind of do that a lot too, where it's like, oh, they're homegrown players. We got them. We're the ones that picked them. We made them what they like. Who gives a fuck?
It means
Myles
something,
Garrett
though,
is out there being Myles Garrett.
Well, Brandon, the Warriors drafted Steph Curry. He's played his entire career there. He's won multiple championships. Those guys do mean more to the fan base.
The Calvin Johnsons, I mean, there's
those things matter as well. And Michael went 50-50 as well, especially since his best trade of draft capital led into his good draft picks. Exactly. That's kind of what I'm saying, Michael. Yeah.
All right. Last but not least, Dustin, considering the depth at running back and pass rush in this year's draft, the Bears should very much still consider using the 10th overall pick on pass protection.
I mean, I'll say that's a headline, man.
I'm gonna grab some water, man.
All right. Jesus, Brandon, come prepared, man. You and Daniel Jeffries coming late, coming unprepared. Why do I got to be Tom Coughlin in this motherfucker? Listen, I'll say that's a headline. I was just saying earlier, I'm speaking to the chat now because Brandon's unprepared. As I said earlier, you have a chance to take your biggest weakness from last season and turn it into your biggest strength this season, which is your offensive line. And if you turn around after trading for Joe Thuney and you trade for Jonah Jackson, and then, hey, you sign a Ryan Kelly or a Dahlman in free agency, and then you come out and you draft Kelvin Banks or Josh Simmons or Ariante Ursary, right? Or Will Campbell, whatever. And you put those, because I think the majority of those guys are going to compete with Braxton Jones pretty quickly and take his job. So now you've established that you have a great pass protector on Caleb Williams' blind side that you can trust a little more than Braxton. And you've gone from, one of the worst in the NFL to a top 5 offensive line in the NFL, Brandon, if you're here yet. So like, that's a headline to me. I would not be opposed, and you got to be open to it depending on who falls to you or what trade back scenario comes up. But getting a left tackle in this draft or getting a starting center in this draft, like that, there's multiple, and you're not going to do that in the first round, but there's multiple ways to still address this offensive line regardless of these moves that have been made. And I will still love to impact this offensive line with a blue chip player like Kelvin Banks, Will Campbell. Tyler Booker, I think, is kind of off the board, which disappoints me because Tyler Booker I think, is the best offensive lineman in this draft, but I don't see the Bears drafting him after they just locked up their 2 guard spots. People talk about Tyler Booker potentially moving to left tackle. I don't see that at all. I don't know if the chat agrees with me. He's a guard through and through, and so I think he comes off the board. But a Josh Simmons, Jesus Christ, dude, where did you go to get this water? V-Dog says, only one I blame Poles for is holding on to Velus till the last minute. Listen, I didn't like that draft pick when he made it, so I wouldn't have held on to him. He clearly couldn't hold on to the ball, so why hold on to him? I don't know, man. Like that, you're gonna have to get credit. You're gonna get blame as a GM, but I would not blame Ryan Poles in this draft if he were to come in and take an offensive lineman with that number 10 pick. I want him to go best player available with the majority, if not all of these picks. This team lacks talent in some key areas that you got to improve upon. So it don't really matter to me what you're adding to this team. Like, because if you draft a stud running back, that's going to improve your team an awful lot. Michael says deadline. We kind of feel like his past mistakes that were mentioned of taking wants, roam over needs, pass pro. I feel like this is the same thing as, again, taking a want over a need at edge or running back. I don't think you can draft for need when you're in the Bears position. And I think drafting for need has hurt them in the past, Michael. So, like, I appreciate your opinion, but I will say that I don't think Rome was a want as much as he was the best player on the Bears board, and they stuck with their board at that spot. I would have preferred a Jared Verse. I said that, like, I thought that made more sense, but he was a really good player, in my opinion, and on the level of Rome Odunze. But Ryan Poles obviously thought against that. He thought Rome was a much better player.
Well, yeah, and in regards to that, it's not necessarily our board wasn't maybe the same as, because I agree with you, Dustin. Me and you talked a lot about Verse. I liked him as well. Our board might not have been the
He
same,
was the
but
best
Ryan
defensive end
Poles,
in this draft to me, in that draft.
but Ryan Poles still had conviction about his board, right? He went and got the guy he had at the top of the list when the pick fell to him instead of drafting a need, right?
And we can't draft for need. Listen, you have needs and you should address them 100%. But if a stud like Tyler Warren is staring at you in the face and he's the best player on your board, I think you go get him. If you can get the next Rob Gronkowski, you fucking go get him. If you can get the next Barry Sanders, you go get him. If you can get the next Larry Allen, just draft him. Don't overthink this stuff, because it's not like the Bears have a bunch of talent that's established at all these spots. And Brandon, I was saying, and I think you knew my answer, what it was going to be. Deadline, I would still go for a left tackle if it made sense in this draft at the number 10 spot. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think me and you have beat this up pretty good, man. I think you just take the best player on the board. You take the best player, and
And
I
if
don't know
that's a
if the
left
chat's.
tackle,
I don't know
then
that the
do it.
chat's gonna love this. If it's a left tackle, if it's a tight end, if it's a defensive tackle, if it's a pass rusher, you take the best player on the board. You make your team better. You make your team competitive by taking the best talent you have available.
And I did say, I think Tyler, listen, and as I say that, I did also say Tyler Booker, I think, is kind of off the Bears board, because, like, they locked up those guard spots, and Tyler Booker is a guard, a true guard, and that's what he's going to be. So I don't think the Bears are going for him, which is a little disappointing to me, because I love Tyler Booker. But Michael actually pointed out in our text chain the other day that his RAS score would take him off the Bears board anyways. But I think RAS is bullshit in terms. I mean, like, I don't think it matters that much. It obviously matters to Poles in terms of how he's drafted, but Larry Allen had a RAS score of 3.83. He's the best guard that played football in the history of football. So, like, I don't put that much stock into those things.
From what I've seen, Dustin, I'm pretty active in social media and a lot of Bears forums. From what I've seen, is the general consensus is by Bears fans with the top 10 pick, you take the best player available, because I keep seeing Ashton Genty, and guys, that is not the greatest need on this team. So.
And if you think he's the best player on the board, then that's why you want him, So that makes sense. And V-Dog's asking, do we agree with the philosophy of vets across the whole offensive line? No. As I was just stating, it's situational. How can you get the best players possible on your team, whether they're rookies, whether they're veterans in free agency, or veterans in a trade like the Bears just did? These situations are going to pop up. Improve your offensive line. One thing we know for sure is that we wanted the Bears to improve the offensive line, and they've done that. It wasn't the way we expected, but they still did it. So you got to give them credit for that. And then that kind of leads us into our draft and the rest of this offseason of how they'll impact that. It could be free agency. It could be the draft. You got to take the best player available in the draft. You got to identify needs and hit on them in free agency as well. So, no, I don't necessarily agree with that philosophy, because I don't want to pigeonhole myself into one philosophy, to be quite honest, V-Dog, to answer your question. So in that vein, Brandon – okay, V-Dog, thanks, bud. Yeah, I'm not going to go back to your statement, but I get you. Ben Johnson wants a good offensive line. I don't know that it matters that it's vets or if it's rookies. It'll just be the
Well,
best.
What Ben Johnson certainly made clear is he wants 9 to 10 quality players.
100%. So if you're adding depth in this draft at the offensive line position, that's not something I'm putting out of the realm of possibility for the Bears, especially considering the two guys they traded for are 1-year guys right now. We haven't resigned them. We don't know what's going to happen with that. So their offensive line is still clearly wide open in the draft for the Chicago Bears, in my mind. And speaking of that, man, let's see if I can get this going. Let's move into our mock draft.
Yeah, and I want to say this, Dustin. I'm excited to do these mock drafts, guys. And I want to say this to you guys in the chat because I know you've been watching a lot of podcasts and seen a lot of simulators. But after these trades and after Dustin just kind of broke down, even though he's not a cap guru, kind of broke down the way this cap's going to work for the Bears, we can probably bet that we can run a mock draft without worrying too much about what's going to happen in free agency, man. They might acquire one big player or
a few smaller ones,
or a handful of depth, but we probably already know right now what the Bears' needs are going to be.
We're still going to have those same needs, those same holes, and hoping to fill them with that best player available mentality as well.
Like you just said, you would have thought Tyler Booker and Membu at guard are going to be major players in this draft, but I don't know that they are anymore, man.
For the Bears, 100% in particular. And I will just say this as well going into this. I want to do a trade back because with these moves and with the cap situation, how much that does take away from your cap, trade back becomes more appealing to me every day, Brandon, depending on who's there. If one of those studs that we want is there, we're going to take them at 10. But if there's an option to trade back, if those guys are gone, accruing some more picks in this draft would be a huge deal for considering the cap space that they do have now. That's middle of the pack, which was top of the pack a couple of days ago, so adding more potential starting players and through this draft or solid depth, that's going to be really important. So chat guys, please participate. Brandon, I'm gonna need you to take care of the chat because I am not going to be able to see once I start doing this. All right,
I got you.
Let's go. Mock draft mania. Can you see me?
I can see you. Unfortunately.
All right. We're entering the draft. Shut the hell up. All right. You know what? Check it out. Let's do this real quick. I don't want to see your face either. Let's do this. Fuck off. All right. So, real quick, Ashton Jeanty is still on the board. Shamar Stewart, Tyler Warren, buddy. That's our guy that we keep talking about, that his upside is really hard to pass up on. Kelvin Banks Jr. is still there. Mykel Williams, Tyler Booker. And we have some pick offers. Now, I'll say this one pisses me off that they would even have the balls to offer this to us, Brandon. No first-round pick because they've already used their first-round pick at 6. But 37, 68, 73, 144.
Reeks of desperation by
Yeah, no way. This might be one where we stay put, dude, because I do not like this offer, and we only have one other one. Let's see what that is. Oh, it's the Packers, 23 and 54. No, sir.
Nah, I'm not trading. Honestly, Dustin, Packers, no Packers. I don't know. The division rivals, not what bothers me. I'm not trading into the 20s.
No. This could have been a lot better. I've seen some better trade offers here. I don't know what the chat's saying, but I'm not going with any of these. We're staying put here.
Yet. I got nothing from the chat yet.
Well, hopefully they're still here. Hopefully you guys are still with us.
No, you would think once we stopped seeing your face that there would be more people here.
No, I think it's once we took off your face, everybody left, man.
That's probably true.
Brandon's so pretty. All right.
That's just what the people say.
Uh-huh.
All right, so we still got our 10th pick. There we go. It looks like we're rolling.
We're sticking at 10, man. There's no trade back scenario here.
If the chat's not very active, I'm surprised I'm not seeing them. Just reading a bunch of Ashton. Dustin, I'm going to be honest with you, man. This running back class is so deep. Do you know?
I'm waiting.
I like Warren here. I like Warren here.
Well, let me listen. I'll say this. I think the best running back in this draft can be had in the second round, and that's Quinshon Judkins. So I'm not taking Ashton Jeanty just because I don't think he's even the best running back in this draft. And I like him, but I like Quinshon Judkins an awful lot. I could be wrong, but that's my conviction, and I'm sticking with it. Let me tickle your fancy with some Shamar Stewart here, please. A RAS score of 10. Poles will love that. 6'5", 267. I was thrilled with the potential for him to be available in the second round, which was the case before the combine. And then Shamar Stewart just went out there and blew it up. Now he's going in the top 10 in every mock I fucking see, man. I'm so disappointed. Only had 1.5 sacks in his final college season, Brandon. But this guy had a lot of pressures. I believe he had 37 pressures. He gets after the quarterback. Stewart excels in both run defense and pass rushing, utilizing his explosive first step and powerful hands to penetrate offensive lines and collapse pockets. However, his pass rush technique remains unrefined, often relying on raw athleticism rather than a developed repertoire of moves. Stewart's physical attributes and on-field production position him as a promising defensive line prospect. That doesn't sound too appealing when you read that, doesn't I like him. I like his size, speed, strength combination, man. I love his physical abilities. I think you're projecting an awful lot out here because you don't have the production to go off of.
Well, and Stewart has always been a good player. He's always been a player that's high on people's boards. He did shoot from somewhere in the early 20s, though, to a top 10 pick after the combine. Dustin, you know how I feel about that. I don't like hanging draft value on what somebody's measurables were.
I was super high on him before the combine. I didn't expect him I was hoping he would be there in the second round, like I said. I didn't expect him to move up this high, but I think it's justified because I think he's a damn good player and he fits.
I think by every measure they're ranking him as the second best outside pass rusher, right?
Yeah, I'm really kind of disappointed there was no trade back option here. So Tyler Warren, Shamar Stewart, Kelvin Banks. We get nothing from the chat.
Michael says, I go Genty every time with this board. You guys could talk me into Stewart, though.
Oh, I don't know if I just did or not. I love Stewart. I really do. I just don't know that I love him at 10, man. And that's where he's going to go. But I think there's some other defensive ends we can get later, man, that are going to be kind of close, like a Landon Jackson out of Arkansas. That it'll be there in the second round.
I think this class, like I said, is very deep at the position, man. I like Tyler Warren a lot.
But we don't get to trade Cole. Let's just assume that we're trading Cole Kmet.
No, it's just assume that we figure that out later. But if a guy who's referred to as Gronk in this draft is available.
So no thoughts about Kelvin Banks Jr., who eliminated all the talk that he doesn't have the measurables to be a left tackle. This guy's been the best left tackle in football, him or Will Campbell, for his entirety of his career at Texas. Done in the Big 12, done in the SEC. Kelvin Banks is not somebody you think about in this situation, Brandon. He replaces Braxton Jones immediately as your starting left tackle.
I do. To be honest with you, Dustin, Genty, Warren, and Banks are all above Stewart to me at this place in this position on my board.
Okay. But you're saying Tyler Warren. I love Tyler Warren too, man. So like, if you're saying Tyler Warren, we can go with Tyler Warren and figure the rest out later.
Let's do it. Let's. And I threw him on our thumbnail, man. So we got to
go with Tyler Warren. Yep, this is just too perfect. All right, chat. We're going Tyler Warren. Moving on. All right. I love the addition of Tyler Warren to this team, man. I think that Ben Johnson will find ways to utilize him. He could even be a gadget player. He showed that in college. This guy can throw touchdowns. He can catch them.
You said he was, yeah. I mean, a guy who's used like that in college, I mean, he's a stud, man.
Ben Johnson's going to have a fucking field day with that guy. So, I mean, again, even if listen, we released Gerald Everett. You signed Durham Smythe, but I don't think Landon Jackson's gone. God damn it. And Donovan Jackson's gone too. All right. If I'm not getting an extra pick in this draft here, I am not making this trade. I'm not taking a 2026.
No, let's avoid any trades with future capital because that's just
all right. We're rejecting all this. We're just staying put, man. We're just staying put. Now here, I think this becomes pretty fucking easy for me, man. If I'm looking at Walter Nolan right here, I don't think I pass on him. You can impact your pass rush at the defensive tackle position. Get a good rotation going there. If you add Billings back to this roster, you got Dexter and Walter Nolan. I like that right there. I mean, I guess you could talk about Mike Green. He's a great edge rusher. He's a little small for, I think, Dennis Allen's system.
Michael says Nolan easy.
Yes, I think so too. I don't think it's really even a conversation, right?
No, I think he's the second best tackle in this draft.
My last mock draft I did, I traded back to 28 actually with the Lions, but I got a lot of good picks in this draft. And Walter Nolan was my first pick at 28, so him being here at 39 is kind of fucking insane. So we're going Walter Nolan, right?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. And then we're going to turn right back around. Mike Green went. So here we get a pick in this draft, but we're giving up one of ours. We're going to give up 41 and 149. They give us 50 and 82. I mean, you're jumping up a lot. You're only going back 9 spots. Let's look at who's here. We got Gray Zabel, Xavier Watts, Benjamin Morrison. I'm going to hide this for a second because I want to look at this. Gray Zabel, Xavier Watts, Benjamin Morrison. We got 2 Notre Dame defensive backs right there. I like Xavier Watts a lot. Bro, Omarion Hampton is right there. We need this running back. We need a running back. And listen, I love Quinshon Judkins, but I don't think
if you drop 9 spots, he's gone for sure.
No, I think if we drop 9 spots, Brandon, Quinshon Judkins will still be there. That's what I think.
I like the trade because you're trading back 9 spots with the 1 pick, but look at how much you're gaining with the other.
What's Michael saying? Because
Michael's not in there.
Oh,
you're banning us. Thanks, Michael.
All right, man.
Thanks
a lot. Then, listen, I think if we trade back, we're getting one of these 4 running backs. Omarion Hampton's going to go. I like Quinshon Judkins better. I really like Omarion Hampton a lot. He's a damn good power back, which is exactly what the Bears need. The Thunder to DeAndre Swift's Lightning. Any one of these 3 guys would be that. Omarion Hampton, Caleb Johnson, Quinshon Judkins.
Michael likes taking Hampton here.
I figured he would, which is why we're going to accept the trade. All right. We're going for it. Let's see what happens. Watts goes. Harris goes. Okay. Zabel. Dude, Hampton's still there. Caleb Johnson goes. Oh, no, we're not doing that. What do we got here? We got anything else? No future picks. Omarion Hampton is still here, bro.
We're taking Hampton.
No, I want Quinshon Judkins. I got Quinshon Judkins in my last draft. Quinshon Judkins I can't say he's the best running back in the draft, Brandon, and then take another running back over him right here.
Yeah, no, and I didn't see Judkins right there. I like Judkins more than Hampton as well.
We like Judkins more than
Hampton.
I
don't know how Michael feels about Judkins. I know Mike Hampton was available, but he might. But they're both studs, dude. They're both studs.
Listen, Hampton is really good, but Judkins.
You're getting your future running back with one of those guys.
Yeah, Quinshon Judkins will be a spell back for DeAndre Swift, get you the tough yards, and he can still break some big ones. I think he's got the best pro potential of all these running backs. His pro comparison is Joe Mixon. And, I mean, he's going to turn into your every down back. His RAS score, Michael, you like these, 9.89. Pretty damn good. Standout running back since his breakout freshman season at Ole Miss, remains a force in college football. With the Buckeyes, he excels with an explosive first step and a thunderous running style that punishes defenders and forces missed tackles. Though his vision isn't elite, his patience approach and power make him a consistent threat. And his dense frame enables him to churn out yards after contact. I like it all, man. Let's see let's see what Hampton's RAS score is. 9.61. 5'11", 221. Listen, we know I think he played himself into the first round, just in terms of his combine performance. So for him to be available in the second round this late is kind of crazy to me. Maybe he had the bong face mask thing going before in our world of mock drafts here, because I don't think he's going to fall.
No, I don't think Hampton, Henderson, or Judkins are going to be there this late, man.
I think Henderson might, to be quite honest. Judkins potentially can be. Hampton definitely not. I think Hampton can go if Genty goes in the top 10, Hampton could go at 12 to the Cowboys.
Listen, man, you took Judkins in your last mock draft. Let's take Hampton.
But I just don't want to go back on my word here. I don't feel right taking anyone.
Dustin will feel. Michael's not high on Judkins. Holy crap! Did he just send in the chat? Dustin's an idiot.
What the fuck? You're lying, right?
No, I didn't.
You fucking piece of shit, Brandon. I gotta see your face to say this. Fuck you. All right, we're taking Judkins.
Michael, he agrees with you. He's going Judkins.
I can't pass on him. Sorry.
Thanks for hanging out, Michael.
Omarion Hampton is still not going. Definitely the face mask bong incident happened with him because he is falling like crazy. What is going on?
Face mask bong. Why do these guys incriminate themselves?
There's some. Okay, he finally went. Our next pick is 72, guys.
That's interesting, though, Dustin. Hampton fell really far in this mock.
Very far, yeah.
Is there something we don't know?
Yeah, we're rejecting these trades.
Does,
Let's
does
real
he
quick.
see does he see massage therapists? Just
Real quick, as of right now, Tyler Warren, we've addressed our tight end position, a dire need. Walter Nolan, I think we got a hell of a defensive tackle there that's going to be a stud for this team for a long time. Quinshawn Judkins, we still got 72, 82, and then we're going straight to the 7th round. So
God, this draft is deep, man.
it is. I mean, let's identify our biggest position of need that we haven't addressed, which is defensive end, right? Edge. We have not addressed that.
No, we haven't.
That's got to be where we go. I mean, this is the problem with taking Tyler Warren, Brandon. Let me just say that you're taking the best player available, but like Michael was saying earlier, you're neglecting a position of need, and now we've waited a pretty long time to get a defensive end. And I like that we got our running back. I like that we got the Swiss Army knife for Ben Johnson and Tyler Warren, but we're not looking at a lot of good options here at defensive end. Jared Ivey out of Ole Miss. Ashton Galote out of Louisville, Josiah Stewart.
Well, if
Brady
you're looking at those big mean motherfuckers like Kyle Harris put in our chat the other night, man, Ivy is kind of a monster.
Flashes an impressive pass rush plan, but his heavy feet limit his ceiling. He can run through an opponent's chest with a long arm, but he can also win through the inside and outside shoulder with a bevy of proactive pass rush moves. Ivy would be higher on the board, but his slow processing speed and lack of reactive athleticism hurt his consistency as a run defender. 6'5", 274.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the run defender. Let's get the pass.
I mean, Josiah Stewart is way too small for this. Brady Swinson is a guy I like, but he doesn't have the great size.
Braden Swinson is a guy I love. His name is actually what they call him in LSU is Braden
Swinson.
Braden Sack Swinson. That's what they call him. That's his nickname.
He
is, dude. His 40 was bad, but he explodes off the line. Sean and Kai actually broke down some tape during their Barely There podcast, and I was in awe watching that guy's film.
I mean, listen, there's Jared Wilson right there, the center. Jalen Noel, the wide receiver out of Iowa State. And Emory Jones, LSU offensive tackle. Mason Taylor, tight end. But we already took Warren, so that's not.
Whoa. Emory Jones is still available?
Yep. I mean, he's ranked 68.
Michael says Birch or Ivy, so he's looking at that pass rush position.
Yeah. So I think that's what we got to do. We've kind of painted ourselves into that corner, which is what I hate. But yeah, Jared Ivey is going to be the best option at this point if we want to attack the pass rush, and we're not going to get another opportunity to do it. Our next pick is at 82. And we haven't touched the safety position either. So both concerning. I definitely want to get this done and do a trade back one at least. All right, we're going Jared Ivey.
What's the blue dot next to the teams?
They're auto drafting. I don't know, dude.
That was a fantasy joke.
Sure.
Really landed.
Like my fist in your face if you don't stop mocking me. All right, what are we looking at now?
Did you say mocking you? I like what you did there. Well, we got to look at the safety position. Right?
Yeah, we do. And there's the guy out of Iowa that Jeffries likes.
Michael here. I don't know a whole lot about this safety class, man. I know the top dogs.
I like Jonas Sanker a lot out of Virginia. And I like Jalen Reed, but here the guy I really like that I think is going to be a sleeper and a steal is Malaki Moore out of Alabama. Played next to Starks. Playmaking safety who thrives in the deep field, a true center fielder. The Alabama DB is a ball hawk, hauling in 7 interceptions in 24. Natural cover safety. Moore combines athleticism with natural instincts to thrive in a zone scheme that will allow his awareness, strong cover skills, and anticipation to shine. Sounds like a fucking perfect fit in this Bears defense.
Real quick, Dustin, we got over 20 people watching, and Crooked Commish just joined us. He says, yo, what's good? What's going on, Crooked? Happy to have you. We could use a commissioner right about now. Oh,
to announce our picks. I like Malaki Moore an awful lot. Listen, our next pick isn't
are you
235,
sure?
so whatever we
Are you
take
sure?
here
Are you
is
sure
what it
his
is.
name's not Malachi?
There you go. Whatever. Listen, Balaki. Hey, Ron.
It's a bunch of malarkey. That's what this is.
Jose Aloysius, Alabama State.
The Brickashaw Ferguson.
The Brickashaw Ferguson. Lathan Ransom is here.
Michael likes more in the safeties.
That's who I like as well. I think he's going to be a steal. I like Sanker as well, but I think more Malaki is going to be a hell of a player, and I think he fits the Dennis Allen defense. Do
Bear
we have
down.
to take a
Hey,
safety?
Justin, just real quick. Crooked Commish found a way to emoji our the name of our podcast. He says bear down 4 stars, but puts the
Ant Mass
star
has
in
been
there.
doing that for a while.
Oh, really? I'm
Yeah,
giving
pay
you the
attention.
credit, Crooked. Aunt Mass isn't here. Reed
What
is
the hell?
another guy Michael likes.
I like Reed too. Man.
Crooked got the key and peel. He was digging it.
Yeah.
Great as short as it lasted.
Listen, it's Jared Wilson is still available here. We can get our center. And Ransom is the highest rated safety, but I like Moore better. So if we're going safety, I'm going Moore. If that's what we're doing.
Well, I think a quality
look at here,
center.
man. Let me just make this point. We took Warren. Elijah Arroyo is still there, who I think Ben Johnson could have a field day with if they were able to get him.
Yeah, I do like him.
Yeah, so like maybe we learned.
Crooked's throwing Ant Mass. That's nice, you Crooked. But he didn't show up for the show, so I think.
Yeah, you get all the credit today.
It was you that started it.
Listen, man. If we're going safety, I'm going Moore. If we're going safety, I'm going Moore. If that's
I
what
like
you feel.
the idea of drafting a center more than a safety because we're not guaranteed Dolmans on this team or anything.
Yeah, I mean we don't know that for sure. And even if we keep Shelton, Jared Wilson is the guy that will supplant him hopefully sooner rather than later. And this guy is a hell of a player. 9.98 RAS score, 6'3", 310. Projects as a high upside starter in the NFL. He's still raw as just a 1-year starting center, but the 3-star Bulldogs recruit has the athleticism and natural leverage, understanding to be one of the first pure center prospects off the board in 25. And we'd be getting them in the 3rd round here.
I like going this route, man.
Okay, so we're going Jared Wilson?
Yeah, you could run it back with Byard and Brisker and
hope that he doesn't get concussed. Yeah, let's do it.
Hope that he doesn't throw himself through a wall like he tends to do. Now I'm playing with you, Crooked. Ant Mass is the man. Very loyal. He's always here.
Yeah, we love
Thanks for joining.
Just, I mean, I feel. Let's see here.
God, this is painful.
What's painful? How long this is going to be? Yeah,
watching all these rounds just pass by.
I think I did normal speed, and we could have done like fast. Probably would have been a good idea.
God, our GM sucks.
Let's see here. Moore is still there, but I doubt he will be when we pick at 235. I really like Moore an awful lot.
I feel like we're going to be doing this mock draft at 2:35 in the morning.
No, we're going to do one more and we're out of here, man.
I'm just going slowly.
Okay, we'll increase the speed. I feel like this is a lesson I should have learned when I did this mock draft earlier today.
Yeah, Dustin mocked mock drafting before we came on the show, and he didn't get the speed right, guys.
Well,
so if you want to mock him, feel free.
We're all works in progress, Brandon.
Michael says cue the Jeopardy music. Seriously.
I'll take The Rapist for 600. And it's like when there's like a slow play in the NFL where like the commentator's trying to come up with things to stay here. So let's
Tom
just
Brady's so bad at that.
Listen, Tom Brady's really bad at announcing in general. It's kind of disappointing. But listen, let's just look at our picks. Tyler Warren, stud at tight end. We're replacing Cole Kmet, or we're using them in tandem. We got Walter Nolan, who's going to, get into this pass rush rotation at the defensive tackle position. With
hey, Dustin, real quick. Crooked Commish says, I would love to join y'all next week or any other time. The only day that doesn't work is Tuesday. I produce a Clubhouse Network show. Cricket,
Yeah, come
how
on,
did
bud.
you do this last time, Dustin? Email?
Yeah, we just do email. Yeah, and then we just send an invite.
Yeah,
It's not
just
that hard.
throw something at us through email, okay, Cricket, for sure.
Yeah, Brandon, take down his email if he wants to put it out there, or just tell him ours email or your email, and he can. I don't care how, but yeah, we'd love to have him on. We're going to be going on at 11:30 next week.
Yeah,
So
Crick, if you want to email me, it's just BR Duplessis. The
we're
way
on the
my name
clock.
is. What's up? Oh shit,
We're on the
sorry.
clock.
We're on the clock. BRDUPLACEY
Droopy. All right. Listen, man, we got our running back, we got our tight end, we got our defensive tackle, we got an edge that we like the upside on, and we got our center. So I think we've established some stuff here. I'm not exactly thrilled with this draft, but it's not bad. Right now, do we need Kobe Hudson, wide receiver out of UCF? There's just not a lot here, man. We can go safety with Dante Trader. His RAS is at 2.13.
Click the wide receiver tab. This was a deep wide receiver class too.
I'm not feeling it, man. Not feeling it. Dominant player.
Crooked's asking us a solid question. Well, he says, what running backs are left? Crooked, we already got Quinshon Judkins.
Quinshon Judkins. Trevor Etienne is still here. So I mean, like, that's a thing. I really want to address safety in some kind of fashion, man. So let's do that. Let's add at least some depth there. What do you say?
Yeah, safety works.
I mean, Dante Trader, not a lot of upside there, man. Consistent producer. Yeah. I don't want to read his whole draft profile, man. Craig Woodson, I know, somewhat athletic and versatile safety, known for his fluid movement and physical play. All right, good enough. We're drafting this guy. Craig Woodson, Brandon. Ready for it?
Ready.
Let's do it.
He's got the name.
Craig. All right. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how I feel about this draft. We're on the clock again.
Because I wanted Tyler Warren. That's why you're mad.
Listen, we both wanted Tyler Warren. This is on both of us. Anything you see, Brandon, anything you want here, because this is basically Mr. Irrelevant. This is our Mr. Irrelevant.
No, I say you just grab the top safety on the board. I agree.
We already grabbed the safety.
We're deep enough in the draft to start concerning ourselves with need more than players, man.
We already grabbed the top safety that we.
Oh, we did? Okay.
Yeah. There's a tackle here, Vernon Broughton, 6'5", 311. I like that.
The Indianapolis Colts just released Raekwon Davis. That's a bit of a shock.
Okay, we got a Notre Dame guy right here.
Quick's asking us if we got an edge. We did.
Yeah, we did.
We got Ivy.
Yeah, we did.
Big boy just needs to.
Okay, let's not overthink this too much, man.
That was well-rounded.
You want to go Cody Simon, linebacker?
Sure.
Tremaine Edmonds insurance.
People with 2 first names.
All right, whatever. Let's do that. And that's that. All right.
Give us a.
What do
you guys give us on our draft?
Oh, yeah, give us a grade.
Crooked Commish asked if Jimmy Horn was still there. I'm not sure who that is.
Yeah, he was. He's Joe Horn's son, receiver out of Colorado. Never had a lot of production. He's very small. Plays the slot. I mean, he's okay.
Well, Dustin loves him.
He's all right. I loved Jimmy Horn for the Saints. Joe Horn. Tyler Warren, Walter Nolan. So Warren with our 10th pick, Nolan with our 39th pick. Judkins, we did a trade back here to get an extra 3rd-round pick. So we got Quinshon Judkins at 50. Jared Ivey, defensive end. Jared Wilson, we got the Jareds. He went to Jared. And then we got Craig Woodson and Cody Simon. So what do we think of that? What are they giving us?
Crooked Commish says you should look for Chicago kids at the end of the
Always
draft.
Look for a Chicago kid at the end. That's a solid grade, man. I don't know what you guys think. Let's do one where we get a little more, hopefully some chat input. Yeah, Michael, I say a B too. I mean, it's tough when you take Tyler Warren with that 10th pick. I think he's a damn good player. So not really upset about it. I think Warren, Nolan, and Judkins with the first 3 picks, I'm not going to be upset with that if that's where polls went, because you're getting some impact players at some good positions. The tight end thing makes it tough, but maybe you can move Komet for something. Want to do one more, Brandon, and then get out of here?
Hell yeah.
Let's get some legit. Okay, so I'm gonna do. Where's the draft speed here? Fast.
The commission says B minus if you want to be picky. Well, we do, honestly, because if this is Ryan Poles, we're gonna be
Oh yeah, 100%. Yes.
Dustin Poles got a B minus.
Oh, okay. So with this one, we get pick 20, pick 51. That's legit. 38, 69, 77. Don't like that.
Not touching that.
Pick 12 and pick 76.
I like that. I like moving back to
that. Right now, we got Genty still on the board. That's who the Cowboys obviously want. That's why they're trying to trade up. We still got Kelvin Banks, Tetero, and McMillan, who are not eyeing at all. I like Mikael Williams an awful lot. So yeah, I don't know. What are you doing? We're just gonna move back 2 spots and get an extra 3rd round pick, or we're gonna move back 10 spots and get an extra 2nd round pick.
Well, Crooked Commission says Fouquet trade to 12.
Fouquet?
Yeah, he's being appropriate.
All right, appropriate.
Don't say fuck on the podcast.
Don't you know that I would never say fuck? All right, I would never fucking say that. I kind of like this one, man. I mean, it's 10 spots, but you're getting a 2nd round pick where you're going to find another starter. I mean, 76.
Yeah, but the Dallas Cowboy trade, you're getting 2 picks back and you're just getting an extra pick.
I understand. I'm just saying I like this extra pick better. The 51.
And Ashton Genty's going to be one of the guys picked, and you're not picking him anyways, right?
All right. Maybe we trade back again. You want me to accept this one?
Yeah, I do.
I like the other one better. I'm just going to go on record as saying that. But I'll accept it.
He's on record, everyone.
Oh, now we can go back to 20 and get that 51.
All right, see what we just did? See what I did?
And the Cowboys took Tyler Booker. Wow.
Denver's Crooked Commish did like your trade option does. He says you get that 51. So now I think
we can turn around and do this too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we don't want future picks, and the Patriots can kiss my ass.
Yeah, guys, right. we already created a rule here. If they're throwing future picks at us, we are not accepting, because that doesn't really do us any good here and now on a mock draft simulator.
Yep, it's all about this year. All right, so we're taking this one too. We're going to move back 8 more spots and see what happens. I think Kelvin Banks might still be there. Might be an option for us. Let's accept it. Put that in our pocket. Oh, Banks is gone. Yeah, I don't want. I mean, here we're in it. We're in it deep. So let's just see. 28 and 60. Move back 8 more spots. Do we see anybody we want here? Derek Harmon.
What was the other one? 24 and what?
There was no 24. It's 38, 69, 77. 24 and a future. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no future.
I just moved past that. Yeah. So 28 and 60. Do we see anything we have to take right now? I mean, we're giving up a 7th round pick here, but we're getting a fucking another 2nd, bro. And we're only moving back 8 spots.
Matthew Golden's right there, but I don't know if you want to take a receiver with your 1st round pick.
I want Nick Emanwari a lot, but I don't know that.
Cricket says let's get freaky trade again.
Yeah,
who's still there? Hold on a minute.
All right. It's Golden, Harmon, Emanwari. Okay, we can look a little deeper if you'd like. Josh Simmons is a guy that could still be there at 28. Nick Scourton, Tyleik Williams, Walter Nolan will be there for us, bro. And then we can turn around and go O-line in the 2nd round, because we're gonna have all these fucking picks.
Let's do it. You're along for the ride, Crook. We're gonna go back again.
Like Kramer and the car salesman, when you're just like seeing how far you can go on E.
When you're sitting here looking at this, it feels so, because if I'm watching the draft on television and they're like, for the Roger Goodell comes up, was like, for the 3rd time the Bears, I'd be pissed.
But I would be happy with all these picks, Brandon. I might be a proponent of this. I haven't seen anything that I feel like we've had to take with any of these picks that we've had available yet. So let's do it. We're going. Let's see if we get another offer. Future 2nd. No, thank you. And then no, we're not going there, right? That's not worth it.
That future 2nd though would have been worth it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, two
That pick
picks.
30. Yeah.
But the Bills are going to pick it's basically a third round pick. We're rejecting these, right?
Yeah.
All right. So we're here.
We're going to have a
Man,
boatload of picks.
I love Nick Imanwari so much. I think this guy is going to be one of the best safeties in the NFL.
We must have lost Michael. That son of a bitch.
I mean, Walter Nolan is still there. Kenneth Grant, Tyleek Williams. Nick Imanwari is my favorite guy I see here. Simmons went. So we have Cameron Williams, who's a right tackle. I don't want that.
How is
Colston
Luther
Love.
Burden still on the board?
There's a potential for that, man. But
Mike says got to go Nick.
I think so too, bro. He's your starting safety. You can move on from Byard.
This is the kid that you love, right?
Yeah, he's the best safety in the draft, in my opinion.
Yeah, let's get the best safety in the draft with the 28th pick.
Ariante Ursary will still be there in the second round, most likely. We can still go do that. Gray Zabel, Donovan Jackson, Millam, and Ratledge. We're gonna have some options there too. And Jared Wilson is the first center at 73. So, and then edgewise, Mike Green is still here.
Michael says Cam Scadabo.
Shut up, Brandon. You lie. So Mike Green is not the guy to go here. I think just straight talent available, man. It's Imanwari all day.
Yeah, I like taking the best player at any position with the 28th pick, man.
Listen, there's conversation between him and Starks, but I think Imanwari is better. We're gonna go with him. We're gonna go safety.
Yeah, let's go safety.
Listen, we got a lot of picks to be able to address a lot of holes here. So, all right, we're doing it. I like it. Future picks, no thank you. Future picks, no thank you. Get on out of here.
You guys know this is a mock draft.
Yeah, you're like giving us Monopoly money. It doesn't fucking matter. Donovan Jackson, man. I love him. We got guards. We got guards out the ass, though. Like, do you take a guard? I think Ariante Ursary is the pick here, man.
Should we just go Green, man?
It's Green or it's Ariante Ursary?
Is there a consensus, guys, that we're not sure that Mike Green's just going to continue to fall in drafts? Like, why? This is happening.
He continues to fall in every mock I do, man. But every mock I see, he's going in the first round.
When they had the Cowboys trading up for running backs, like they're using some sort of algorithm that makes sense. You know what I mean? Dude, why is Green consistently dropping off the face of the draft?
I just got a Facebook friend request from Dustin Jones. Get the fuck out of here, dude. There can only be one. I don't know.
An imposter.
Listen, it's Green or it's Ariante Ursary, but I think we can get both. Which do you think?
Covers in. Wow, look at this guy. He's live on Bears Country Podcast, but he's also talking to us in our chat. Foster, we love you for that. We love you anyways.
Foster, what up, bro? Thanks for joining us. Hit that like button.
Foster, American for Bears. God.
All right. It was way funnier in text, Brandon. I'm sorry. In theory, it was a lot funnier.
Cricket says get the tackle. Let's see how far Green.
So we go with Ursary. I think he's the best tackle that or it's Ursary or Connerly.
Oh, Michael's going to bed.
Oh, all right. Listen, if we're getting the tackle, it's Ariante Ursary or Josh Connerly, Brandon.
Michael, why don't you let us read you a bedtime mock draft?
Edge, it's Mike Green all the way. I think there's some other options. I
don't know. Cricket commission might be now I'm just interested to see how far Green drops. Dude, is there something I don't know? I'm sincerely asking. Was this guy injured?
He's just smaller, man. People are worried about his frame. He's just a smaller guy.
So something's anticipated to show up on
that. At the very least, it would be a rotational pass rusher for you. Assuming the Bears do something at the defensive end in free agency, you can rotate that guy with Mike Green. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes total sense. If you get DeMarcus Lawrence and you rotate him out on the other side of Montez Sweat with Mike Green, like, you got a pretty damn good thing going there. I think we have better here. I'll say this. I think we have better options at offensive tackle, fallback options than we do at defensive end. If we don't take Green and he goes at the 40th pick to the Saints, we're going Landon Jackson. So how do you feel about Landon Jackson or Josh Connerly?
I like Jackson more than Green to begin with.
Okay. All right. Then we're going to go Ariante Ursary right now. Okay.
Yeah. Ursary is a good player. It's a good player.
Yeah. I like him.
And Kirk Kamish he validated, but we still have Booker too.
Still have Booker. What?
We still have
Oh,
Booker
Austin Booker.
as a rotation
We're
rotational
still
piece. Guys,
taking a
thank you
defense.
for everybody in the chat. Thank you. You guys are great. You guys are
All
killing
right, so
it
we're
right
going
now.
Ursery, Brennan.
Going Ursery.
All right.
An Ursery rhyme.
Hey, 56 and 62 for 41 and 149. Is that worth it? I don't think so.
56. No, that's a pretty big drop off, man.
Yeah, we're losing 15 spots here, but we're gaining a good amount on the back end from 149 to 62.
At least Buffalo understands the rules that we don't accept next year's draft capital.
All right, so you want to accept this or decline it? That's the only one.
Let's decline it.
All right.
Reject.
All right. So right now we still have Mike Green right there. Or you said you want to go Landon Jackson?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, and then we got our next pick after this.
Big kid, man.
Our next pick after this has got to be, we got to look at running backs, all right? Because we need the Thunder to the Swift Lightning.
All right, Landon Jackson is a monster. There's just no way.
6'6", 264, 988 RAS score. This guy dominated at the combine. He's got the size you want on the opposite end of Montez Sweat in this Bears defense, I think. I like him a lot. So,
and he has an incredible motor, man.
Yeah, he doesn't stop. He don't quit. You're right. Let's go for it. I like it.
Let's do it.
80 and then futures. No, thank you. We can go 63 and 95 for 51 and 235.
I like that. The 12.
I like that a little bit. I like it a little bit. Omarion Hampton is still there. Caleb Johnson, Quinshon Judkins, and Anderson. All of the guys that we want are still there. So we can take this trade, add more, and add another pick to it that's much, much better. 95 versus 235. We're moving back 12 spots. We doing that?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's see if fate falls our way with these running backs.
Oh, they certainly do, because Hampton and Judkins are both still there. And I guess we got to go Hampton this time because we went Judkins last time. I still disclaimer: Judkins is a better running back than Hampton in my mind.
I don't know, man. I think we should go Judkins because when you picked Judkins in the last mock draft, Hampton just kept falling. Hampton's like green in these mock drafts. There's something they project him clearly in these simulators to be available for a very long time. This is the kind of stuff that happens too, Dustin. I mean, when I kept seeing Cooper DeJean last year just fall and fall and fall, I was like, what the hell is going on?
So do you think we go Judkins here?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm Judkins all day.
I want to see Judkins. Yeah, I'm a Judkins guy.
Anything else that we can look at here? Maxwell Hairston's a great corner. Isaiah Bond, TJ Sanders. Okay, yeah, we're going Judkins. You don't want to switch it up just for the sake of some variety. We're going Judkins.
All right, let's go. Crooked Commish is asking if it's too soon for the center. All right, well, Crooked Commish, do us a favor, man. No. We're kind of split here. We need a third. Is it Judkins or Hampton if you're picking here? I know you know these guys. You going Hampton or Judkins? We can't have Hampkins or Judkins.
Listen, we're going to go Hampton. Listen, Judkins is a better player to me, but we need some variety here. We went Judkins in the last draft, so.
Yeah, we don't want to bore people to death with our podcast mock drafts.
All right, Hampton is our new power running back. 83 and 122. That is way too far back. No. All right, we're rejecting these.
Dustin, what's going on with this ad? Can you get that off the screen?
Yeah, I forgot you guys can see it.
He liked. We would leave it up there if they paid us in any way, shape, or form, but they don't.
Okay, let's identify what we have and what we need. We got the best safety.
What's going on with this ad up at the top of this?
Bro, there's no. This is a Brandon
up in another corner.
Brandon, this is a free app, so I'm not.
I know.
Get rid of the ad. Stop being a douche. We got our safety.
Don't be an ad hole.
Ariante Ursery, our offensive tackle, who's going to take Braxton Jones's job. Landon Jackson, edge across from Montez Sweat, and we got our power running back in Omarion Hampton, and we still have 63, 72, 76, 95, and 149. We have killed this draft. That's just what's happened. So what's our need right now?
Oh, look, and your guy Scadaboo's still there.
I don't want him. Defensive tackle is an area I'll look at, and then center. It's not too soon to go Jared Wilson, I don't think. Defensive tackle, we got TJ Sanders and Alfred Collins here, man. I like Alfred Collins a lot. He's a nose tackle. He's a guy that can take Billings' spot. TJ Sanders, I don't know as much about as I know Collins. Do you like any of these?
Yeah, let's look at center.
Jared Ivey's still there. Offense. It's going to be Jared Wilson. He's going to still be there. We can take him right now and have a future starting center for Caleb right there. Fairchild, Dillinger, Kandra, Frazier, those are all good guards. Wide receiver, let's look at that. Isaiah Bond is still there, man. Jaden Higgins and Jalen Royals, both really good receivers.
The Bears need a Bond, but I'm not sure he's the guy who's going to develop into a pro, an NFL receiver.
Wow, this is a weird spot in the draft. Listen, Maxwell Hairston is fucking awesome. I mean, he could be Tyreek Stevenson's replacement.
I didn't hear you.
Maxwell Hairston, the cornerback out of Kentucky.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Exceptional mirroring skills, making him a natural in coverage. While he thrives in a reactive role, refining his mental game will be key to unlocking his full potential. Oh, no, that sounds exactly like Tyreek Stevenson, actually. If he sharpens his instincts, he has the tools to become one of the game's toughest cover corners. I like that. I like the sound of that. Dorian Strong
Crooked Commish says, I like Collins too. Maxwell is super fast.
Yeah, I mean, the corner, I think it's between Maxwell Hairston and Alfred Collins, man.
Hairston is a stud.
Yeah, I mean, cornerback is not a thing you think of as needs, but you can never have enough cornerbacks, bro.
Well, no, man. It's injury depth is more important every year. Let's go Hairston. I think he's the best player there.
Yeah, I think he's the best player available too, and I think the Bears could definitely use some cornerback depth. Terrell Smith was not great, and when he started last year, and Tyree Stevenson had his issues as well. So let's do this. All right, let's not look at any more trades. Defensive tackle. Alfred Collins is still there. Look at that. Want to go that?
Good point, Crook. We did miss some games out of one of our starting corners. He got benched a few times too.
Mm-hmm. And he also turned his back at the most important play of the season. So, yeah.
Which pretty much broke the camel's back.
We're going to go Alfred Collins here, okay?
Alfred Collins it is.
Yeah, we get our nose tackle.
I heard he was Batman's butler. Let's do it.
All right. Let's look at all here. TJ Sanders is still the best. Quinshon Judkins is still there. Mason Taylor, Jason Taylor's son, tight end out of LSU, or we could wait for Arroyo. But I like Mason Taylor a lot, bro. Jared Wilson, let's get our center right now.
Crazy if I take Quinshon Judkins.
I mean, that would be pretty awesome. We got the picks to do it, bro. But like we're basically out after this. 76, 95, 149.
We could use a tight end for sure, man.
Is there a big need we're missing here, Brandon? We got the defensive tackle, the offensive tackle.
Did we get defensive tackle?
No, I think it's pretty clear, man. We got to take the center here, the best center in the draft.
Did we get a defensive tackle? Who do we take a tackle?
We just drafted one, Alfred Collins, bro. Pay attention.
Well, you kind of just said I'm drafting him and moved on.
It was between two players, bro. And then we had the other player that was between left, so it makes sense.
It was really just between you, yourself, and you.
And I. Jared Wilson, man, I think that's what we do here. I think we get our center, the starting center for the Bears for the next 10 years. He might need a year or so to get acclimated to the game.
He complies. Let's do it. Let's get Jared Wilson. Jared Wilson is surprisingly available in these mock drafts, man. By every measure,
that's his ranking.
He's one of the best centers in college football.
Yeah, we're not looking at any more trades. Listen, I think we go tight end here. I think Arroyo will still be here. No, he's gone, but Mason Taylor's still there, bro.
Let's do it just because he's related to Joy Taylor.
Jason Taylor. Oh, yes. Are you making a bad joke? Sorry, I didn't catch it.
Jason Taylor's daughter, dude.
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
The girl on ESPN? The woman on ESPN?
I thought you were talking about some OnlyFans shit. I don't know.
Well, she'd probably do well. Let's go Mason Taylor.
Yeah, I like Mason Taylor a lot. Him and Arroyo both are tight ends that were not used a lot in their offense, but have a lot of good potential to transition well to the NFL. And we need that guy. So let's do it.
Quick commission says Joy Taylor. Yeah, Joy Taylor's Jason Taylor's daughter. She's a ESPN anchor.
I don't watch ESPN, so I don't know. Ooh, Darius Alexander's still there. And so is Jordan Phillips, but we already got the nose tackle. Fuck.
We could use more nose tackles, dude.
I don't know that we need. I mean, we got Billings coming back, and we just drafted Alfred Collins, man. So I don't know that it makes sense to go again.
Let's see what kickers are available. No,
Shut up.
I wouldn't even know if you pulled them up.
All right, edge is not where it's at. We already did cornerback. We already did safety. We need a 3 technique, and that's Darius Alexander, man. Unless there's like something that we're missing.
Who's Darius Alexander play for?
Toledo. Miles Frazier out of LSU. He's a good guard, but we just traded for 2 starting guards, and I mean we signed
commission. You're right. I don't know why. What did I say? I said daughter. Yeah, you're right. Jason Taylor's sister.
Okay.
Either way, she got that peanut butter skin.
This has gone on too far. We got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You're talking about peanut butter skin. All right, I think Darius Alexander is the pick here, bro. What do you think?
Yeah, let's roll with it because
we can get another defensive tackle. We get a 3 technique to rotate in with Javon Dexter here, and we got the nose tackle to rotate with Billings. That's a huge deal for this Bears team, I think, in the trenches. We've addressed the trenches pretty well. And we addressed our offensive line.
It's so important, man. You could never have more.
Let's just say this. No, for sure, 100%. And the Eagles showed that this whole playoff run. 6'3", 305, RAS score of 9.2. Versatile, explosive defensive lineman known for his impressive blend of size, strength, and athleticism. I like the sound of that.
Now I'm really hoping the Bears get this guy late in the draft. That would be.
He's a guy that I've had my eye on, and I like that he's here, so we're going to take him. And this is our last pick of the draft, I believe.
Alexander the Great to finish it off.
Our Mr. Irrelevant is actually pretty relevant.
Give us a great draft grade, quick commission.
This one's an A+, bro. I'm not tooting my own horn, but we addressed all issues, I think. we look at how many picks we got. 3, 6, 9 picks out of this. We got Nick Emanwari. He's going to be our starting safety. And we got Brisker insurance for sure, and we can rotate that guy. Ariante Ursary is going to be our starting left tackle. Landon Jackson is going to be a starting defensive end for us eventually. He can rotate in with a free agent signing. Omarion Hampton is going to be a running back that does a great job of working in tandem with DeAndre Swift and improving this running game, giving Ben Johnson exactly what he wants. Maxwell Hairston, this is the sneakiest pick of the draft, Brandon, because no one's thinking cornerback for the Bears draft, but this guy is one of the top 5 cornerbacks in this draft. And the Bears now have insurance for Tyree Stevenson if he has another meltdown, and Terrell Smith, who's just not shown himself to be that good. You know, I think that's a glaring issue for the Bears potentially.
Much love, Crooked Commish. He says, good show, guys. Hit me up. I sent you an email. I will definitely get back to you, man. I will get back to you tonight once this wraps up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's set that up, man.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I mean this wholeheartedly. I'm not just saying this because I'm biased as hell to the fact that we did it. I would give the Bears an A if this was the draft that they put together.
I haven't mentioned that we got Alfred Collins, a nose tackle. He'll be a starting nose tackle for us. He'll replace Billings after this season. Jared Wilson, who's going to replace whoever our starting center is after this season, could potentially start this year. He's the best center in the draft. Mason Taylor is one of the top 5 tight ends in this draft and has potential to be top 2 or 3 from his talent perspective. And Darius Alexander, a 3 technique that we can rotate with Javon Dexter, and he could take Javon Dexter's job potentially, bro. That's a hell of a draft.
Yeah, this went a lot better than, and the amount of draft capital we acquired during the draft
makes a huge difference in terms of how many needs we're able to address, and we address them with starting level players. So this is an ideal draft, I think, for the Chicago Bears. So that kind of shows you that taking the best player available does have its downfalls. Our last draft we didn't get to address as many needs. We got, Tyler Warren, who's going to be a hell of a stud for us, but I like this draft a lot better, man.
And not only did we address some positions, Dustin, these last few days by trading to acquire these guards and Tooney and Jonah, You lost
Joel
draft
Jackson.
capital. We lost draft capital, right? So it would not hurt the Bears to consider trading back to acquire more picks.
Oh, Brandon, you didn't say the peanut butter skin thing. Cricket commissioned it. I thought that came out of you.
No, no, it was this. He's got a point.
Listen, that's a hell of a draft, man. We should frame that one. I think we have addressed every big need the Bears have, and then also address some that could be potential needs. We're thinking for the future here, and we're addressing the current team. These guys will put in important playing time and play important snaps for the Bears quickly if they were to draft these guys. So we're gonna get done with this. I think we nailed that one. Guys, this has been a lot of fun. We got to do our first mock draft, 4-Star Chicago Sports. I think we showed that there are a couple different ways you can go about this, and there's obviously 100 other ways it can go. The Bears are going to have a very important offseason in front of them, and hopefully they can add some starting caliber players in the draft and free agency to go with the moves they've already made, man. It's exciting time to be a Bears fan.
Yes, it is, and I really do like and you know what, Dustin? We rejected a lot of trades on that show on that mock draft because there were future picks that do us no good. I wouldn't have neglected those trades or rejected those trades, I should say, in real life. Suppose we're trade back 2 spots and get a future second round pick.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah, no, that could be that. Listen, there's going to be a lot of options. Hopefully, Poles is able to maneuver. Yeah, I threw that up there. Hopefully, Poles is able to maneuver the board a little bit. I think the trade back, the more we're getting closer to this with the moves that have happened, I am much more open to it than I previously was, especially depending on who's going to be there.
You said that earlier for sure.
Yeah. So, listen, it's been a lot of fun, guys. It's getting late. We appreciate everybody for joining us. Hopefully, you hit that like button. Hopefully, you subscribed if you haven't already. And yeah, we're going to be back here next week at 11:30, our normal time. We'll have Saturday Cub show here with Sean. Why am I blanking on the name? The
Northside 9.
Northside 9. Yeah. Monday we'll be back for the House Hall Hangover. We're going to do some more mock drafts now that we got this thing going. We're going to get addicted to it, I'm sure. So.
We do have a live show, guys, coming up. We want to get these out and early. We have a live show coming up for the draft as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks, Crooked, for mashing that like button.
Thanks
to everybody who joined us tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks to everybody who joined us tonight. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. It's coming up, and hopefully more news to come, and we'll be with you guys all the way. So, love you. Have a great night. Bear down.
Bear down.
All right, Brandon. Let's get on out of here.